Oh, jeez.
I couldn't find an actual MIDI. I couldn't find an actual MIDI for this. I was looking forever, and it was just the shadiest looking websites, and I was like, I do not feel like having a virus for a shit post. Let's see. I'm sorry, what is this fucking... What is this fucking ghost-ass version of Gangsta's Paradise? What the fuck am I listening to? Okay. What a fucking nightmare. So, no. Remember that. I would fucking start every fucking goddamn.
Yeah.
I have bad habits. Bad habits. I gotta fucking get better at that when we start recording proper again. Hi. We're not actually doing the proper intro yet. But I'm here. Vespa's here. I almost forgot your name. Damn. I'm a weird friend.
Oh my god.
I'm a great friend. I'm a real weird friend. Things... You can read the title. We're gonna just jump into it. So let's set up Audacity. I should have this already set up right. I'm just talking into my mic to see if it sounds good. Set up right. Yeah, okay. So I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, I'm actually that's my Audacity.
Okay.
It looks like the things are very low. It's been I've never set up Audacity.
Well, and the whole thing was that you were also always very low, and I always had to turn your audio up like way high whenever editing. Oh, I will also say, save any discussion of movie 3 trailer until the very end, just because I know some people want to go unspoiled and I haven't been watching trailers. Just
yeah, I figured that'd be the case.
Yeah.
Alright, so starting off with movie 1. Where do you want to start off with?
Well, hold on. We didn't. Are you ready to record? We didn't do our sync testing. We didn't. We gotta do.
All right,
bitch. I know it's been a while since we recorded, but we have our due process.
I know. I forgot.
Doofus.
It's been like a couple months since like the last recording.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever you're ready to do a sync test.
Yep. Ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, sync. So, Jim Carrey.
Oh my...
You know.
You actually do the so.
I wasn't trying to. It's a nervous tick. Okay.
It's alright. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's my bit gone. Oh, we'll just throw it in the trash and start over. You know, it's title pendering tradition, even though it's not title pendering. So it kind of is. So you know, me and Vespa, we watched the Sonic movie today. We watched the Sonic movie 2 today. We watched the Knuckles series today. We watched a lot.
We didn't read the novelizations, though, as well. We didn't read the novelizations alongside this, though.
Oh, gosh. Is it a novelization, too?
Of
The
course there
Sonic.
is. It's a children's movie. Like, there's going to be like some sort of novelization that has like the semi remains of the previous scripts in it.
Does the Sonic go to Denny's?
I don't know if they actually include any of the product placement stuff in the novelizations. I'd
God.
assume they probably would.
I would assume not, given it's a low budget kind of thing. But I guess I haven't read it, so I can't really say.
Yeah, we'll have to save that for like a Patreon bonus or something.
God, that would actually be a pretty good Patreon bonus. Yeah. Some context before we get in. I've already seen the first Sonic movie myself. I hadn't seen anything else, though I did get spoiled on the post credits for it. We're not going to be doing a recap like regular title pandering. We're going to just assume you've also seen movies and just want to hear our thoughts, and I'm sorry if this is hard to follow otherwise. But yeah, I've already seen the first Sonic movie. I haven't seen the others ones until today. We decided it'd be funny to just on a whim watch all of them in a row and then record this to give our thoughts on it. So it's,
Yeah.
it's like I said in the title, it's kind of like midnight screenings, except we're not assholes.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, we had seen at least the first movie. I had not seen any of the Paramount Sonic stuff. Like, I'd been spoiled on it, because at the time I didn't really care that much until I saw the spoilers and realized, oh shit, this actually does sound kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I had pretty much held off on watching it until I sat down and watched them with Cammy today.
It was funny because with me, it was right before COVID started to get like really bad with the lockdowns, like when I watched the Sonic movie. And so it was honestly really cool being able to just like go out to the theaters and be like one of the few people actually in the theater, because like lockdowns didn't hit, and obviously I would have been locking down like when that happened, but like it was just fun going to the movie theater right before it became the point in time where nobody wanted to go to the movie theater. It was really cool seeing it in the theaters, definitely. Like, to jump into discussion, I remember seeing at the very start is the Sega logo, obviously, but it's like showing all the Sega games, and I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking Yakuza 0 and Space Channel 5 and all Jet Set Radio and all that. It was fucking crazy seeing that at the start.
It was kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't really have a structure for this. I wrote a bunch of notes, and so I'll just like rattle off some that we could just lead into for discussions. It's wild that this movie unironically starts with a record scratch. You may be wondering how I got here, though.
Yeah, I guess it's like it felt very much like with like Ben Schwartz's portrayal of Sonic. Like feel like kind of like a Cusco, kind of like that kind of like kind of ironic, like sarcastic, funny kind of like how did we get here kind of situation. I don't feel like I can't really think of many other movies that actually do that beyond Emperor's New Groove and Ratatouille.
I imagine it's enough that it just became like codified as bad, quirky movie writing. Like I feel like it probably happened enough in the 90s and 2000s, maybe even earlier than that it just became a meme.
Probably, yeah. It feels like something from like an older era of movies that like understandably was phased out for the most part.
Yeah. I guess we can go pseudo in order of thoughts, just because I'm looking at my notes and we could just roll off of that. How do you feel about... what's her name? Featherclaw? What is it?
Longclaw.
Longclaw. Yeah, how do you feel about, like, Longclaw and, like, the fact that this is basically a Sonic isekai? Like Sonic X, I guess.
Well, I can't believe they actually canonized Sonic having an owl mentor in a piece of modern Sonic media. Given that was like... I'm trying to remember what it was specifically called. I think it was Say Sonic or something that, like, had a blurb at the start of it. It was like a children's novel, Sonic, like, in the early years of this franchise that mentioned briefly that, like, he had a mentor or something that was a wise old owl. As, like, it mentioned, like, just one sentence, and that's it. Like, I doubt that was, like, an intentional reference, but it's one of those things that just feel like it's a kind of neat, weird little unintentional deep cut. But as for Longclaw herself, like in all honesty, I want to like this aspect because I think it's an interesting choice for Sonic. I'll get more into how I feel about like this portrayal of Sonic as we go along, but like I remember hearing about the Long Claw backstory beforehand, thinking like, oh, this must be like a pretty big part of the opening or something. But no, like
No.
immediately the moment we
Immediately,
see
yeah.
her, she's like getting ready to like deal with the hitting the tribe attacking her, and like holy shit, we barely can get to know Long
Yeah, and
Claw.
she's already
Like
dead.
it's a shame. Like I honestly found this kind of like an interesting angle to go with for Sonic, and then like we don't get any sort of chance to explore it, even though like it's a big part of Sonic's like character in this story, and like his emotional arc lies on like us caring about his bond with Long. Like they make a big joke of like, oh, she's like an Obi-Wan to me, but like Obi-Wan at least had like an entire movie's worth of like screen time with Luke before like he
Movie.
dies. Yeah, basically, like we get like 5 seconds with her before she's sending Sonic off to the human world.
Yeah, I remember when I watched the movie, I was like, wait a minute, we're just immediately gonna put Echidna tribes in here? What the fuck?
Yeah,
And it's like,
that blew my mind when I remember seeing like because I didn't watch the movie, but I remember spoiling myself. I was shocked, like, holy shit, Pac-Man like introduced in like the first Sonic movie? What?
yeah,
Pac-Man?
Pachacamac. It was so weird, because, like, they were always pressing, like, Pachacamac or whatever, or something similar to that, at least. It was like a soft C at the beginning. But I always thought it was, like, as Vespa had said earlier, I thought it was Pacamac, and then afterwards,
Yeah.
after looking it up, times, I was like, oh yeah, no, it's Pacacamac, but no, I think it's Pachacamac, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of angle for Sonic is a bit weird, to me, because it just part of it is just like a kind of. It's just weird how Sonic is basically the Flash in this one. Like, I know he's always been like faster than like any other person, but it's just weird to me how like Sonic and like later on Knuckles just have like weird like lightning effects shooting out of them when they do
Yeah.
their special powers that they have, and then also their quills are just magic power MacGuffins that the enemies keep using to try and like power themselves up. I honestly thought that was like kind of weird, and watching this back, I still think it's kind of weird and dumb, even if there are funny moments to it.
Oh no, I definitely get what you mean. Like, it really feels like the whole Quill aspect is pretty much just there to give an excuse as to why Eggman can keep up with Sonic and the gang. Like, but
Yeah.
especially in this movie, like, it's like I don't really care that much for like the whole electricity power thing that I don't want to call them Mobians, but like I'm just so used to calling Sonic characters Mobians
You just call them
regardless.
anyway. It doesn't matter. We're
Yeah.
after all the nightmare with like Sega USA versus Sega Japan and also Archie. We're never gonna know what this Paramount Universe's world is gonna be called, and so we'll just call them Mobians.
Yeah.
We're not gonna
Especially
prove
since
wrong.
like especially since like there were some weird bits of like the lore that we learned throughout the first two movies of how these worlds work. Like it seems like there's like multiple planets or something going on.
Yeah, it's very ambiguous, and also has like a weird sci-fi binge. Like, especially when it gets into the second movie when Tails comes in, it's like
Oh yeah.
it just sounds like, oh yeah, he's like in a spaceship, like learning about Sonic from across the galaxy, and it's like, what the fuck is happening here? And it's like really weird and confusing. Like it's not even like they're not going into too much detail, so it's really more that it's just confusing from how vague it is. But like it is just weird how it seems like it could be a different dimension, or it could just be a different planet in the solar system.
Forget 2 worlds. It's like 12 worlds at this rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I like the concept behind this backstory. I just wish that there was a bit more meat to it before we get to like him having to go into the human world. Like, I think there was even like a deleted scene or something of like young Sonic in his home world that like I remember like seeing floating around on YouTube before.
Yeah. How do you feel about Ben Affleck's Sonic?
Ben Affleck? You mean Ben Schwartz?
The same person. They're both white.
Not in the slightest cameo.
They're both white.
Jesus Christ. I think I'm fine with it. Like, it's a bit weird because I know Ben Schwartz from a couple of things like the DuckTales. I'm pretty sure the DuckTales reboot. I remember from like Randy Cunningham, Parks and Rec. Obviously, they didn't do like the fucking his bit from Parks and Rec of just dragging out words and a sing-songy tone at one point. Like, I think that he's a fine enough choice for going for like a celebrity voice actor for Sonic, even though I still kind of hear Ben Schwartz when I hear him. Like, it's fine enough, but not the best. Not my favorite Sonic performance.
Yeah, it's like, for me, as someone who is much more of a defender of the Mario movie and is just thinking like, yeah, it's him just doing Chris Pratt voice, but I genuinely think the Mario voice is voice actor is fine. I don't actually hate it like everyone else does.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with Ben Schwartz Sonic, I feel what I imagine people who despise Chris Pratt Mario feel, in the sense that it just doesn't feel fitting to me. It just feels like guy voicing a character, like a celebrity voicing a character, because it's a kids movie and you gotta have celebrities voice everything, and it doesn't do it for me. Like, there's points where I feel like I can like the way he's written, like, yeah, no, it's Sonic, like it's definitely just like indisputably Sonic, but like it is just distracting hearing Ben Schwartz's voice, especially given we just have one of the earlier actresses for Tails reprising her role.
Yeah, like
and so it's
his current voice actor.
a current voice actor, sorry. So it's just incredibly distracting hearing just Tails as I know him, and then Ben Schwartz being Sonic at me. And I honestly didn't feel that way with like Idris Elba in when we get to the second movie. But like I actually kind of grew to like be fine with Idris Elba's voice as Knuckles, but I could just never get into Ben Schwartz as Sonic. It's just too distracting for me.
Yeah, like, I don't want to get too much into like the other two voice actors until we get to the second movie, but like it really just was throwing me off here in Halloween, who I'm so used to from like Sonic Boom and like some of the recent games with like two celebrity voice actors. Like it just makes the like I'm glad we got like one of the game voice actors, but like why is she the only one reprising a role? And it just feels so distracting hearing her next to two celebrity voices.
Yeah.
For like characters that are usually voiced by like voice actors.
Oh, they should. You know what they should have gotten? It would have been fucking weird. They should have gotten.
Oh no.
I'm sorry if I get the name wrong, but Anya Taylor-Joy, the person who would later play Peach, that would have been fucking funny.
God.
She really does well for Peach, and she also does really well in.
Fine, yeah.
I think she's in The Menu, horror movie The Menu. I think she's like the lead lady in there. That's a good movie. I gotta show it to you at some point. Oh, I do want to mention this, since we were talking about Sonic. I don't like this design too much. It's fine. It's definitely better than the, like, overworked VFX Studios original design, obviously. But, like, the eyes being two separate ones, like, I get why they do it. It just looks a bit weird to me. But more importantly, I don't like how he has skin fur. How his, like, belly and his muzzle are just skin-colored quills or fur, as opposed to just
I didn't really
skin.
notice with his belly patch thing, but I definitely noticed with the muzzle.
It's very distracting. I hate it so much. It's just been, and the fact that it applies to the other characters as well. Like with Knuckles, it makes sense because, like, you know, it's like a little like tribal marking on his chest, and with Tails, he always had like fur on his muzzle anyway. But especially when we get to Shadow in the third movie, it's just like, oh my god, this looks like it's not a bad design. I'm glad they like got like Tyson Hess to like help work with the VFX studio. And then they showed it to the VFX studio. But it's just I'm just not into the skin fur.
For me, like it took a little bit for it to grow on me. Like, remember, like the first time I saw the redesign, like it's alright. Like it's certainly not as bad as like the original, but like it's fine. But like as I was watching through the first movie, like it grew on me as I watched through it. But I will say, like, I know we're jumping in between like this and the second movie, but I feel like there's like just kind of a weird difference in quality, like, or like difference in like the model, like compared to the original movie to the sequel, like how like it looks a bit cartoony in the second movie at times, like
Mhm.
which isn't a bad thing, but it can look a bit jarring at points. I don't know, maybe it's just been like the quality we had the movie on or something that was just kind of throwing it off for me at first. But you
Yeah.
did mention like the production studios, like the production studio got shuttered in between this and the second movie, so maybe that was the thing that kind of was throwing me off.
Yeah, maybe. I'm pretty sure that's the case at least. Like, I barely remember because I don't keep up with discourse because I try and keep myself current with affairs and news, but I also do
Mm,
not like fucking doom scrolling because it is just incredibly unhelpful. And so,
same here.
this is a spur of the moment impressions thing, so I don't entirely remember, and I am sorry if I'm wrong about that. Um,
Mm.
but in I was gonna say, speaking of things that piss me off, how do you feel that Sonic's co-companion is a pig?
Yeah, it's very much a choice. Like
Like
putting aside my own
I will
politics regarding cops.
I will just
Like
say I do not actually think, despite what I just set up for the bit, I do not actually think this movie is propaganda. Like that's just me doing a
oh
bit. But go
yeah,
on.
oh yeah. I figured you weren't like implying that, but yeah, like putting aside my politics, Tom is fine. He is very much a live action human companion to
Yeah.
the cartoon licensed character. Like he's got like at least like I know he's been in like several other of these kind of movies like the Hop, the Easter movie
Oh
from
my
years
god, he
ago.
was. He looked familiar to me. I couldn't
Yeah, like
place why he was in Hop.
like I at least think that like I don't like super like this character, but like at the very least, I think he's fine enough. He works well as like a human companion for this type of story compared to something like Chris from Sonic X, who I
Yeah.
never really liked, or something like to a lesser extent, they're not humans, like Tiff and Tough from Kirby Right Back at You. Like I
Yeah.
at least like compared to other like live action movies that have these kind of like plot lines, I do kind of like the relationship him and Sonic have. Like it's very much the typical kind of buddy road trip adventure relationship, but them playing off as like kind of friends to like found family. Like it's cute. Like it's a fine like take on like Sonic having a family and like being like a kid. Like I do think it is kind of interesting that like of all the interpretations I've seen of Sonic over the years, particularly from the Western side, like this is the one that feels the most like a that to me feel like Sonic really is like a kid because he is very
Yeah.
much out of his element, starting out as like beginning as a hero. As much as I don't like origin stuff, like I do kind of like this take on having Sonic learn his way to becoming a hero. Like it's always practically every Sonic beforehand, even like Archie. Like we start off with him like already in the motion of doing this. Like find out later, like oh he was like a kid that like didn't know anything about like being a hero beforehand, but like it's kind of brushed over. And even with like him in the current day, like and like current period of his story, like in Archie, like I never really feel like he's like at least like where we're at in the comics, like he's that much of a kid. Like he's just kind of like I don't know, it never really just feels like that present to me. Like I at least like this kind of take of him just being like a dumb like teenage kid, like learning the ropes and like starting out as like a this hero like heroic figure. Like it's neat. Like it's kind of neat to see this kind of take for Sonic for once.
Yeah. Like I don't. Like I prefer when the Sonic characters are more age agnostic. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just you can, and just like oh, because you're a horny furry. But like no, I just think you can tell more interesting stories when you don't have to just kowtow to the fact that you know you might have to deal with the fact that these kids are either just high schoolers going through deeply traumatic things and or just in depending on the adaptation just child fucking soldiers and all that but I do think that uh this is a fun depiction of Sonic even if they are like with them specifically leaning into him just being a kid. I think it's a fun little angle, um
Yeah.
even if it is incredibly funny that he just fucking flosses in the movie. I remember that was a thing they added when they went through the second VFX pass of the redesign, is that they added him fucking flossing.
Like I knew like it was coming up, like, but like I'm very much in the camp of like it's like it fits him. Like I think like
Yeah.
this kind of Sonic, at least like Sonic is very much a product of his time period, and I think that suits this kind of like young like teenage tween age Sonic that like in this era that he would do silly like dance fad stuff like that. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
bother me too much.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either, because, you know, like, he's always been the fucking 90s pop culture spewing a mascot character, so it makes sense that we would just evolve that into he does the Fortnite dance and all that. I just thought it was very funny. But yeah, I think Tom is a fun character. You know, he's just the snarky, witty buddy cop character. But I think the way they write him is pretty fun. I like the rapport he has with Robotnik and how the two of them just like fucking like banter at each other, and then Tom just cold clocks Eggman.
I do appreciate that there's like a balance of both Tom and Sonic laying the shit down on Robotnik throughout the story. That is honestly kind of a fun angle to have. I think that's part of why I like Tom is like he's not just kind of there to react to stuff or there to just like hang out with the cartoon character. He is actively trying to get involved in helping Sonic out throughout the story.
Yeah, definitely. But that is a good segue though into Robotnik. How do you feel about Jim Carrey Eggman now that you've seen the entire pantheon of his wit?
I'll be real that like beforehand, I was not that crazy about Robotnik being played by Carrey. I felt like he was like in the initial trailer, like he's fine. Like it's like sure it stands out better because like Carrey's a character actor. He has experience. I wasn't sure at first like if he was like the best choice for Eggman, both in like appearance and like his mannerisms. Like it very much kind of felt like Carrey being Carrey at first, but like as like we were going through, like I think it was like particularly the first confrontation he has with Tom and Sonic that makes me realize, oh shit, Carrey actually does kind of work well as Eggman. He's got he's a lot more jokey and like snarky compared to I'm not sure like snarky but quippy compared to like other interpretations of Eggman, but he still has that like very much overconfident like bravado like smarm to him that like I kind of love in Robotnik. Like it also reminded me a bit of like something like Adventures in a way, like just very much over the top, like smart ass, like nerdlinger turned like monster, like a super mad scientist. Like angle they went with was kind of reminding me of how like Adventures of Sonic sometimes had Robotnik as just like a nerd that like would get revenge on his bullies by using his mad scientist inventions and shit to get revenge. Like, it was very much growing on me. It was very much growing on me throughout the first movie. Like, he was generally like one of the big highlights of the movie for me, which I was honestly kind of surprised by.
Yeah, to me, like, he's still a bit more snarky, bit more Jim Carrey for me. Than what I was expecting or even preferring with the character. But he definitely, like, sells his own version of Robotnik, especially as the movies progress. He definitely feels like a version of Robotnik, even if a different version of Robotnik from what we expect. Yeah, I do love how he's just a fucking snarky man and all that, and just a very, like, self-obsessed, self-important asswad. But I also love how much of a fucking dork too, because he just does his musical number and it's like doing like fake skiing and then fake dinosaur pretending his head bit off.
That very much felt like Carrey being Carrey, but screw it, it worked with the version of Robotnik. I think that's what you mentioned, like the self-importance, I think it's also reminded me of much of Adventures of Sonic's Robotnik, that kind of, I forget the way that Milton Knight describes it, but like that he always described Robotnik as like being like someone who is just so like in love with himself, like he like is so in love with the idea of being himself and is confused at those who don't like enjoy his presence or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
He very much has that kind of robotic energy going from. I think that's what made me really enjoy this interpretation of him.
Yeah, definitely. And also, he apparently stopped a coup in Pakistan for the U.S. government.
Yeah, like there was like 2 lines like when they were introducing him, like he stopped the coup in Pakistan and like stopped something in like a country that is now considered made up because of like how top secret the mission was or something. I mean, like, a lot of lines in this movie that really just kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, like he's kind of weirdly horny, and like yeah. At one point I wrote down he says the phrase "Look what came out of my egg sack." As he's like taking out the fucking like robots after he's like snarking to the military officer about how he's scared of spiders and is also a superior. Yeah. Something. And also, I just remember like the whole bit about like I don't remember how the full exchange goes, but there's a later scene where he's like snarking with Tom, and Tom talks about being breastfed.
Yeah.
And Eamon was like, nice, good that you have that on me, or something like that. And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of lines in both of these movies, in the Knuckles miniseries, that just made me wonder, like, what demographic is this aiming for? Like, I know these first 2 movies, at least are, like, PG, but, like, there's just a lot of just weird-ass fucking lines, and a surprising amount of, like,
swearing.
PG swearing.
Yeah, they say like hell and damn a lot more than I thought they would. Like, I just remember like Rachel, the sister of Maddie, who's Tom's fiance. She definitely says heck at one point, or maybe it's Maddie that says heck, one of the two. And then one of the characters later on straight just says hell, and then like they do the classic move like you son of a, and then get cut off before they say bitch. It's just like
I think they did at least like twice. It's like Tom at like the start when like robotic's flying up, like said something like son of a bitch or what the he's like they have to say like what the fuck.
Yeah, they also did that too. Off.
Like holy shit, they actually went there. And then it's not like a noise like it cuts him off. Like it's just like it sounds like they censored him almost.
And then also there's just at one point where Sonic is just like farting because it's a kid's movie.
Oh my god!
And there's just the fucking line where Tom is implying for Sonic to check if he sharded himself, and I'm like, I don't remember this line in the movie.
The thing that killed me about that scene too is like it cuts straight into like the sentimental music. Like you don't have the right to go from a sharding chili dog joke to like Sonic like being just like Tom bonding with Sonic and seeing him as like a kid or something. Like, what the fuck, movie? What is happening?
It's really good. Speaking of horny, going back, fucking just let's take an entire section to talk about Dr. Stone, can we?
Agent Stone,
yeah, Agent Stone.
I heard about Agent Stone before, and like I knew it was another one of those things like I couldn't not hear about. Even with like when the first movie came out, was like Stone and his relationship with Robotnik. I wasn't too sure going in how I'd feel, but like he is probably one of my favorite. He's probably one of my favorite lackeys that Robotnik has had over the course of the franchise. Like I've talked about you before, but I just really enjoy that we finally have a Robotnik lackey who not only likes Robotnik, but is actively competent and never really like a detriment while still being like a fun character to be around.
Yeah.
Like he is the perfect fucking lackey for Eggman. Like holy shit.
Yeah, like I love how he will just be fucking abused by Eggman. But then like Eggman will still be like either nice or complimentary to him as well, so you can tell it is just either a rapport or Stone just knows that's just Eggman's personality and doesn't think too much of it. It is a definitely fun dynamic. I just fucking love how it's just very odd. It's just like everyone says that Stone is like incredibly gay for Robotnik. But honestly, I can see it. Honestly,
oh for sure. Like even in the first movie, like I remember like hearing before, and like it kind of gets exaggerated more in the second movie. But like even in this first movie, like it definitely feels. You can definitely tell that like Stone cares a lot about Robotnik, and like is willing to go along with his bullshit throughout. It's like the bit about like him like immediately like putting himself against the wall with his own hand,
Yeah,
choking him out.
he's just like he's just gonna like pin yourself for me, and then he just pretends to be pinned to the wall.
I love that bit. Man, I want them to bring this character into the mainline pantheon in some way. He is just so damn fun.
Yeah, I would love for him to just put him in like IDW, honestly.
Yeah, like I love the fan interpretations I've seen of like what he would look like at least in like the classic universe. Like that one mod for Sonic 3, Angel Eye Revisited. That's so good. Oh.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I feel like the product placement is something we do need to briefly touch upon. It's kind of insane how ridiculous it is at first, because, like, I feel like the soundtrack in this movie is pretty good. Like, it's like, you know, like Invincible or like any other, like, modern TV series or movie, is that they just put a lot of licensed music in it. I feel like it's pretty tasteful for the most part. But then we at the very beginning, we have, like, what Queen song was it? Was it "Don't Stop Me Now"?
Yeah,
yeah, and it's just like it just felt very heavy-handed. And like yep, that's the licensed music. It's a kids movie, and then after that we have, and I wrote a bunch of it down. Let me see. We have the movie Speed. We have Zillow. We have Olive Garden. We have Invisalign. There's some I think there's some in the second movie I'm forgetting as well, and there's some in the third Knuckles series as well. It's just kind of insane how aggressively product placed it is. How like a lot of shit will just mug the camera. Like when Tom and Sonic are running away from Robotnik, they pull out in the truck, and there's just a frame where the truck is just complete profile shot and just mugging the camera. Like, hey, check out this truck. It's really funny.
Yeah. Okay, the speed bit in particular, like, that immediately reminded me of the recent TMNT movie that came out. Like, it did the same exact thing with the Turtles early on, where, like, they're coming home from, like, doing, like, a grocery shop run, like, in covert, because the owner doesn't want them to be seen by the outside world. And, like, they have a moment where, like, oh, it's movie night, let's go check it out. Like a drive-in theater, playing Ferris Bueller's Day Out, and, like, it's a big, like not trying like a thing of like the characters longing to be with like the humans and like have that companionship and stuff. Like it was weird to me that they both of these movies, like, and they're both Paramount movies, but like it was weird to me that they both did the same exact kind of thing, and both probably with movies owned by Paramount, because there is quite a bit of Paramount product placement in this too.
Yeah, that reminds me of another point that I will save until we get to the second movie, just because it's very funny. But it's just kind of funny how for the first movie, Sonic just stalks Tom and Maddie for a while. It's really like silly to me.
Town.
Yeah. Oh god. I don't have much.
I've got used to that kind of stuff with, like I said, with the Turtles, like the animal characters like having to, or like the alien characters having to like stay in covert, but like stalking the human characters of their area.
I don't have much else to say about this first movie, again, mainly just because I've already seen it before, but it was definitely, I'm glad rewatching it that I still enjoyed it, because like, you go into it, you know, I'm not expecting it to be like I was obviously never expecting to be the same universe, and so going into it, I was not expecting it to have the same tone or kind of writing as, like, the Sonic games and all that. And so, like, to an extent, you know, part of me is like, you know, I wish we could just have, like, a movie or show in the Sonic IDW / Sonic Games universe, and, like, have that going on, and, like, have it be actually part of the greater story. But on the other hand, I do like the fact that they're not doing that. Allows them to have more interesting and unique spins on things, like just, again, Jim Carrey Eggman. So I still think it's a very fun kids movie to just like go into, maybe with your family or maybe if you're like Sonic fans, and just have a good time. Honestly, it's just a fun little action movie.
Yeah, beforehand going into this, well, I had like better expectations than like I did a few years ago. I was very much going into this thinking like, oh, this is just gonna be like kind of a passable, like children's like licensed character movie, like these kind of sorts of thing. And it kind of is. It very much follows the same kind of beats you would expect. Like, it's got a lot of like modern humor in it, like kind of. I'm not sure if the right word for it, like modern plot beats that you would kind of expect, but like it's has enough like heart to it, and it has like enough like surprisingly funny moments throughout it all. Like even if it's going through a lot of the motions I've seen before, like it has like some
Yeah.
weird tonal moments. Like I said, the fucking Joey Dog fart scene going into like an emotional, heartfelt scene with Sonic and Tom, like of
Yeah.
something. But like I think this between this and the first movie, I think I like this more. Like it was a fun enough movie that like as a kid, I know I would love this probably. But
Yeah,
even now,
definitely.
like I think like this is a fun movie. Like I wouldn't mind rewatching this again. Like you, I wouldn't. I'm generally in the camp of preferring adaptations that lean closer to like the original established universe instead of doing like the isekai, another world, buddy human kind of formula. Like it's why I'm part of the reason I'm not a big fan of Sonic X all that
Yeah,
much.
same.
But like I think this does this kind of formula much better than something like X, since like I said, the human character like isn't overly like useless or just kind of tacked on, nor does he feel like that much of like a spotlight stealer for the character we're here for. Like he does a they do a fair enough job of like balancing him and the cartoon character he's paired with. And it makes like it's one of the few times where I did enjoy the relationship and bond they end up forging throughout the story. Like it was a surprisingly decent, fun little movie. I definitely agree that like it's a fun family flick or a fun film to watch with like some like Sonic fans with you.
Yeah, it's a very by the numbers movie, but it's the first movie. It does what it needs to, and it's still pretty fun. But then we have the post credit scene where we get shown, hey, Tails is gonna show up, and it's like, oh my god! And I thought that was pretty cool watching it in theaters, not knowing about it. But then we get into the second Sonic movie, and we learn that Tails has been stalking Sonic, who had been stalking Tom and Maddie, and it was just like, wait a minute, we're just like
Yeah,
gonna keep
that
multi-layering the stalking. I'm just like, are we gonna find out that like somehow, some way, just like through time shenanigans, Shadow has been stalking Tails, who had been stalking?
I was gonna say Silver would be the one
Yeah,
stalking Tails for time shenanigans.
I would just love for it to just keep like pulling back the camera and find there's just another Sonic character who was stalking the previous Sonic character who was stalking Sonic.
Who is stalking Maddie and Tom?
Yeah.
That is kind of. But yeah, that was something that was like. I remember when I first saw the credit scene, I was kind of confused. Like, why does Tails know about Sonic? How does that doesn't make any sense for this universe? And
Wait, yeah, hold
what?
on. It doesn't make
Yeah,
any
like we
sense.
do get an explanation, like in the second movie, of course.
Oh,
But
yeah, you're
like
right, you're
for
right.
like the first few minutes that he's on screen, like talking about like, oh, he knows all this about Sonic. Like, no, how would you ever know any of this about Sonic? Like, and then when he explained it, it just kind of left me with more questions. It's like, how do the Sonic worlds work in this universe? Because it sounds, well, it didn't go over it in the first movie, but like, there's the mushroom plant, which I thought at first was Mushroom Hell Zone from
It's
Sonic 3 and K.
it's probably vaguely meant to be, just in the sense that they literally just use sprites from that in the credit sequence, because there's like little neat animated credits
Yeah,
that are meant to
yeah.
be like Genesis graphics in that fake retro style. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let me see. Yeah, I just remember when I first watched the movie, it felt fucking weird hearing Tails, and he's just voiced by Colleen, because it's just like some weird like multi-dimensional thing, and this is Tails Prime from the main series coming in, and
Oh
that's why he
god,
knows about Sonic. It's like, no, they do they do tease the idea of a multiverse in the big final confrontation, but only in like a passing line, and that terrifies me, given what
oh
we've read with
god.
Archie. But yeah, no, it's funny how
Sounds like I'm
Tails.
kind of cop of Sonic.
It's just funny how Tails just witnessed Sonic EMP a baseball stadium because he was upset and running in a circle a bunch, and also probably killed a bunch of people on life support doing that. And then apparently decided to find a way to get to Sonic because he was like enamored with it or whatever, or maybe it's the prophecy. I don't remember. I do realize I don't have a lot of the major details like fully in my head. Honestly, Tails is fine. I feel like he just kind of backseats like he does in the main series.
I was honestly kind of disappointed with like how they handled Tails, like, because I remember like thinking like before we got like the teaser trailers for Sonic 2, like it was gonna be just like a Sonic and Tails story, and then the third movie was gonna bring in Knuckles and maybe some other stuff. And I figured like I knew Knuckles was coming eventually because I knew about a kid in the tribe being a part of the lore and the backstory of the first movie, but excuse me. But I was kind of disappointed that Tails is just kind of there after he's introduced. Like, we get like a kind of cute, in quotation marks, moment with Tails and Sonic and Servia at the Servian bar with the fucking...
Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, that's... But, like, after that, like, he's just kind of... He gets knocked out, like, during the confrontation with Knuckles and is out cold for a good chunk of the movie until like the climax where he's just kind of backup support for Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of about it. Like it's a shame because like I kind of like the angle they were going for with Sonic and Tails, like him like it helping Sonic realize he needs to stop thinking about himself and thinking about others, and like having that kind of like brotherly bond I always love with him and Tails that I'm always a sucker for, like with the at the end of the Serbian scene where like he's sleeping alongside Tails at the fire by the fire, like, and then after that like, he just kind of fades in the background. Like it's just a big disappointing part to me. Like you said, like it very much feels like that Tails is just kind of a plot device at times, which is kind of what he feels like at times in the main games.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Going back to the beginning, yeah, because at the end of the first movie, Sonic knocks Eggman into the Mushroom Planet, and it took me until yesterday to realize that that would have basically been Mushroom Hill, and that was the joke. And then it just felt really stupid that it took me that long to realize that was what they were implying. It was weird to me that, like, Eggman gets... I thought he would have just, like, found a way to make a portal himself, rather than just making basically his own EMP that would then attract other people. It's weird further how it attracted a tribe, like of tribal humans, that Knuckles was going to be, that Knuckles is, like, part of.
Yeah, like, for disclaimer, we did not read the prequel comic because, like, I don't think it's that important, but I do think it does explain what the hell those guys are, because apparently they're like lizard men or something. It's not really that clear.
They just look like humans from what we saw.
Yeah,
though.
they're just like a fucking. It's just such a weird bit. Like I don't mind the way like Eggman gets like off the mushroom planet, but just like how they just suddenly introduce these weird like masked like raider people or whatever the hell like coming in there immediately get stomped by Eggman's traps like alongside Knuckles. Like it just kind of it just feels very weird. I don't really get what they were going for with that aspect. It's just kind of brushed over.
Yeah. We're live streaming this episode on Twitch right now, and I've just been like avoiding the chat unless there's been like any like technical difficulties I need to fix. One person in chat, Cathedor, says there's going to be a Tales miniseries. I don't know anything about if that's the case.
That's the first I've heard about it.
If there is, that would be interesting. But given the Knuckles series, I have no idea how that would work. But yeah, it was interesting to me seeing how they resolved the cliffhanger like stuff from the first movie. I really like Knuckles in this movie a lot, honestly.
I quite like him a bit too. Like he's part of what was getting me interested in checking out this movie when like it was coming out.
Yeah, I like how he's still being duped by Eggman, but he definitely does not feel as stupid as he tends to do in like canon
Yeah,
Sonic. Like
yeah.
he is definitely still very distrusting of Eggman, even if he still is working alongside him.
I do like this aspect of like how they adapted the whole Sonic Free and Knuckles plot line with like going a bit more in depth up to the whole like duping of Knuckles and like his temporary bond with Eggman, like having it actually be like Knuckles having some sort of like level of respect towards Eggman or like hoping for like companionship with him. Then it's like we do for once we do get to learn about like the his relationship with the Echidna tribe rather than it just being like like some distant amount of time away from whenever he was born. Like he was there when like the last of the echidnas were wiped out, and like he is pretty much seems to be the last of the echidnas left in the world or
Yeah, I
left in
thought
his world.
I thought it was weird. Like that's the reason to why I thought it was weird that it was like lizard people. I guess is what you said. Because I genuinely thought, given they showed the echidnas in the first movie, that they were gonna be the ones that like find Eggman. After I realized that he was like attracting someone else using the ring to get to him, I thought that was how they were gonna find him. But no, it was just like weird lizard people, and they do continue that the Echidna tribe gets slaughtered, even if it is now this time by the owl people, and we now actually have Sonic and Knuckles like intrinsically tied together in backstory.
Yeah. It's a bit weird, but I do kind of like this,
Yeah.
like how they went about doing like connecting Sonic and Knuckles' path together, especially with like them having a bit of like like how they handle their like how they handle them becoming friends like
Yeah.
towards the end. Like there's an issue I've always had with Knuckles as a character, as well as like how he's treated. It's like how he's treated by Sonic and friends in the sense that he either is just kind of there, like tacked on because it's Knuckles. He's one of the mainstays of the franchise, or at worst, he's treated as just like this gullible idiot that they can just walk over and use for whatever they need him for that moment, or just use him to like have him be there to be made fun of for his gullibility and short-sightedness and stuff. Like it's nice to have like an actual bond between him and Sonic for once, like between this and Frontier. Like it's nice to see Sonic and Knuckles actually be friends.
Yeah, and like I said, I like how they make him a bit smarter, even if it is in part in service to these movies being very Josh Whedon-y. But I kind of liked how like snarky the movie is. Honestly, I gelled with the movie's sense of humor, even if, like I said, it is very Joss Whedon-y. Like there's moments where you can expect him to have just said, "So that just happened," and as we went through before, it literally starts with like a record scratch. You may be wondering how I got here moment, which they then do a second time in the Knuckles miniseries when we get to that.
Yeah, it's. I was saying with the first way, it very. I'm not sure if I'd say Whedon as like Whedon has like a different, stupider, grosser sense of humor than a lot of people like tend to think of him as. I feel like, but it very much, like I said, has that modern sense of like snarky quip based humor. Like, as much as I hate the phrase, it's Marvel esque,
Yeah, we
kinda.
have like Knuckles like talking about his personality and like making it
Oh yeah, that was
mentioning that it is like his personality and character traits as a joke and all that, and then we have like Sonic later on when Sonic Tails and Knuckles are fighting Eggman. Knuckles is saying you need to hit him in the groin. Go hit him in the groin. That's the weak spot. And Sonic's like, oh, stop saying groin. It's weird. And then Sonic is awake, like, wait, I'm the groin because I'm his weak spot. And I was like,
yeah.
that's one of the few times I was like cringing, and I was like, oh, this is so stupid. Like I tolerated a lot of like the humor in these movies, but that one part I was just like, oh my god, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Um,
That part in particular, when like Knuckles is on the plane with Sonic and Tails and talking about it and stuff, that was just straight up like the kind of bit that Drax does in Guardians. I swear, like the first movie, he has like the same kind of thing. Like That's a kind of a thing I feel a bit mixed on with Knuckles, especially when we get into the miniseries, that it very much feels like it is. Well, I do like this take on Knuckles. It feels very much inspired by like Thor and Drax from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That kind of like proud but stupid or dense warrior that has like a sort of like, not say, I wouldn't say broken English, but like a very stilted kind of like a way of talking. I didn't think it was as bad in the second movie with Knuckles. It's like they play him off more like a straight man to Sonic and Eggman, which I kind of like. Like sometimes they lean to like the proud warrior shtick, especially towards the end, where like he's working alongside Sonic. But I like him played as like the kind of a straight laced, like a serious, no nonsense, like brute compared to Sonic being a constant jokester, constantly throwing out quips, and Knuckles getting upset and annoyed at him constantly never shutting up and joking.
Yeah. It was funny to me, like you mentioned Marvel, and we were also talking about product placement earlier. It's funny how the first movie has Sonic reading The Flash, and then in the second movie he makes a reference to both Professor X and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, in this third movie, are we gonna get Image coming? So is Sonic just gonna call Shadow like, "Hey, Spawn wannabe" or something?
Or like makes into a reference to Invincible.
Yeah.
I think that would be a weird running bit.
Yeah, it'd be really funny. It make no sense. Let me see. I'm just looking through my notes. A lot of them it's just like dumb miscellaneous stuff, like how the movie starts with Sonic stopping robbers and fucking everything up, and I made a joke that he pipe bombed the Ninja Turtles because he threw like firecrackers into a sewer when he was like trying to get rid of them. It was also funny how Tails just runs over Knuckles in a cop car.
That did throw me off. I thought I was like, oh god, bring in Wade. No, Wade, it's Tails. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, and there's also the part where
I didn't realize the bit at the later on where like Wade's on the scooter. Like it's because like he probably took Wade's
oh my God,
car.
you're right.
Actually, he's kind of clever.
That's really funny.
That.
Yeah, and then there's also
oh yeah, Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah, the Mean Machine copy. You know, let's talk about that. Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't say flanderized because he didn't have much character in the first movie, but they definitely exaggerated. So like he is much more obsessed with Robotnik. Like at that point, they hard leaned into the feedback that people really liked how gay he was for Eggman.
I wasn't sure at first, but like I was like fine with it. Like it's definitely more exaggerated, but I think it works well enough for Stone.
It's extremely funny.
Especially since like he's been away from Robotnik for like some amount of time and has been missing having him working under him.
Yeah, I think and from Robotnik's logs, it's basically been like a few weeks under a year, like 200 something days.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie in general just felt way weirder than the first movie. Like, right? I definitely felt at the start it felt more stylish. Like they have like giant text title cards, like Knives Out does, and all that. And I really like when movies do that. I think it's a lot of fun. But then we get like a lot of like weird ass shit, like
weird diversions.
Yeah, like they do the fucking ice cream scoop falling over bit during Sonic stopping the armed transport truck from crashing into the thing. But the scoop falling off is the fakest shit I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I like the concept behind like the initial scene of Sonic trying and failing to stop a crime. Like that is just like so like a lot of this movie. It's just so over the top. Like it's a little too cartoonish at times. I feel like, especially with the Knuckles series, like I feel like it's these movies gets a little too over the top with the humor of like the real world at times. That it just gets corny for me.
But then we get to where Sonic and Tails are trying to track the Master Emerald because the Master Emerald is hidden on Earth, which is fucking weird to me. I don't think I like that honestly, but
I don't understand.
They go to Siberia because that's where a compass to find the Master Emerald is. But then Tails' translator has them just like ordering bull tongues and then insulting people and all that, or it's just like gross shit or whatever.
Yeah, we have another bar scene.
Yeah, we have a second bar scene, because there's a bar scene in the first movie. There's a lot of weird rehashing, because there's 2 bar scenes in both movies. There's their movie and the miniseries that do the record scratch bit. Sonic says "gotta go fast" in the first and second movie, and does the adventure pose in both movies, which as Adventure is one of my favorite games of all time, I'm so fucking sick of them referencing the adventure pose. Every time I see it, I just want to puke. Like, not in its original context, but when people reference it, I'm just so tired of people referencing it. It's so tiring. But yeah, they go on to have a fucking dance-off.
Yeah.
With Uptown Funk playing. It felt so studio mandated, to put it lightly. It was insane.
Yeah, like, both these movies are very much like studio kids movie stuff. Like, I don't know why, but it didn't bother me as much with the first movie, but like, I don't even know what the fuck is saying about the whole Serbian diversion. Like, it's weird, first of all, that we have another bar scene with like Sonic and like his companion of the story wind up there. Like, instead of a biker bar, it's a Serbian bar, but instead of a bar fight, we have a dance off. Yeah, I wasn't like that upset. I was just kind of bewildered throughout that entire scene, going, "What the fuck is happening? Why is this happening? What is happening?"
Yeah.
I was just really proud of the fucking Uptown Funk, and Tails brings out his hologram device, make a bunch of shadow clones of himself. Like,
it's just a shadow jutsu in this movie. Basically, I mean, it's a holograms, but still.
Yeah, just what the fuck?
Man, we should just
like end.
No, I'm not gonna. I was gonna say we should just make him age agnostic instead of kids. So then, if Tails is just gonna use shadow clone jutsu, he can do sexy jutsu. Shut up! No, you know I'm right. We gotta have those voluptuous fox vixens that Deadpool loves so very much.
God, no, we don't have with Tails. That's just. They even have like a fucking. I'm realizing they also have like a weird like it kind of invert, but like a like sentimental scene between like Sonic and his companion. It like ends off on like a weird, but like rather than starting with, it ends off on a weird gag of like one of the patrons like waking up, Sonic waking up and seeing one of the patrons sleeping next to him, and like him going to Tail like, wake up.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's
mentioned it before. I don't like how the Master World is on Earth. Like, I guess it makes sense because, like, in the vaguest of sense that, like, in this universe, I don't know if they made it or discovered it, but, like, the Echidnas are hoarding the emeralds and the Master Emerald, and so, the owls go to war with them, and they they basically slaughter all the Echidnas, as we learn later on, and then hide the Master Emerald on Earth so that no one can find it. And sure, whatever. I don't think I like how the Master Emerald is on Earth. I think that's fucking weird.
It's kind of weird, but I didn't really think too much of it in the moment, honestly. It's kind of weird, but like it's very much a different take on Master Emerald, because rather than being a giant gemstone like that is connected to the Chaos Emeralds, it is the Chaos Emerald, but also much smaller than it. Both the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald itself are much smaller. Like, the Master Emerald is made up of a bunch of emeralds, including like 7 small Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, that's fucking weird how the Chaos Emeralds are inside the Master Emerald.
Handheld size.
Yeah.
But like big enough as like a soccer ball or something like around that size.
Yeah. It's just because, like, to articulate why I think it's weird is because it's just weird to me how we have, like, this whole isekai situation, but then we pull back and be like, oh, actually, they've been messing around with Earth, like way longer, and all that. Like, there's just been more to it than just, you know, they've just been here and we've been there, but now Sonic is there. Like, it's just a bit weird to me that's, like, actually, no, the owls hid the Master Emerald in an ancient labyrinth that they built with death traps, Indiana Jones style, and a giant maze, and also ornate a decor, even though it's just meant to be hiding the Master Emerald. And then this is after they slaughtered the entire Echidna race, save for Knuckles.
Well, I think that was like I guess they must have like had and built it before like the final encounter with like the Long Claws tribe and the Echidna tribe, given like Knuckles and like I guess like I think the Echidnas were looking for Long Claw and the Master Emerald. So I think like the way that the backstory went was like the Paka Kamak made the Master Emerald, used it to like as a warlord. The Owl's attack stole the Master Emerald, and then I guess hit it at some point on Earth, and then like the war between the Owls and Echidnas went on and ended with like the final confrontation with Knuckles' father's group and the Long Claw.
Yeah. I have things to say about Patrick and Mac, but we'll wait until we get to the Knuckles series.
Yeah.
Let me see. It was cool that we got to see Sonic go super, though.
Yeah. I got spoiled on both that and Death Egg, but Death Egg wrote beforehand, but like...
Oh yeah, we should clarify that a bit, just in case.
Oh yeah, we need to go back to the Master Emerald.
Yeah, so, Sonic story, Eggman gets the Master Emerald and, like, dupes Knuckles and all that. And then Eggman basically becomes Jim Carrey the Mask, and just, like, absorbs the Emerald's powers and just becomes, like, godlike. It's
turns into Max Headroom.
He becomes Max Headroom, yeah, with the vocal distortion.
Like, that's what the bit they were doing at the start of it was.
It's so fucking weird, but I thought it was a very interesting take on it. We got to basically have Robotnik go super.
Again, like with Adventures of Sonic, Robotnik gets his hand on the Emerald and gets his own super form in a sense, like his own like weird, unique take on the super form.
Yeah, and then he builds the Death Egg robot from Sonic 2 because this is a weird mishmash of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 and Sonic 3.
Yeah, like I'm someone that always like complains about seeing the Death Egg Robo be overused, but this is by far the best take I've seen on it, since it's very much just Robotnik piloting a larger version of himself, like essentially, since it's the robot is like moving the way that he does and acts the way that he does, and it is fucking hilarious the whole way through for me. Yeah. It's a lot more fun than how like the Egg Robo is just kind of. I feel like it's just kind of there, usually just for nostalgia baiting. Like, I would say, like, going a bit back to, like, what you're saying with, like, the nuts, like, the adventure pose and stuff, like, I'm usually one of the first people to bitch about, like, Sonic being over-reliant on, like, callbacks and nods and such to the previous stuff and how, like, heavily it relies on it. And there are some bits here and there that just feel like kind of, like, obligatory or, like, I fucking hate to say it, the I clapped when it happened kind of moments.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, I felt like it didn't bother me as much as I was anticipating. Like, it felt like, not sure if they tasteful, but at least, like, it's not as bad as I feel like it could be at times. At times, it's kind of neat, like, seeing some of the intentional nods, like how the labyrinth that like how the temple that they go through towards the climax is themed around seemingly like labyrinth and Hydro City, whatever, from Sonic 1 and Sonic 3. Like, yeah. I noticed like some of the stones kind of look like some of the stone sprites from some of those Sonic games. Like, it was like a cool reference to see, like, have it like a sort of be like seeing some of that like influence from the games cross over into the movies beyond just like the obvious, like Green Hill and all of that. Or,
yeah, and there's like some subtle things as well, like how like this movie does have the introduction and formation of Gun, which was incredibly funny how they spell it out, and then from here on out just actually pronounce it instead of 4 kids waffling around it. But I did like how like subtly one thing I had noticed when watching is they end up getting on a helicopter at one point. And the helicopter does have the fucking SA2 a bit, which is very cute given, like, the helicopter is a coded Sigma Alpha 2 in the beginning of Sonic Adventure 2. I did think that was, like, a cute, subtle bit, honestly. Which, we need to talk more about Gun. So, the plot starts with Sonic with Tom and Maddie going to visit Rachel's wedding in Hawaii and all that, and obviously, like, part of me was kind of hoping they would just be like thrown off to the side and we would just focus on Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, Eggman, and all that. But I don't mind how they handled it, because how they handled it is absolutely ridiculous. Because so we get it through a bunch of sequence events. Sonic and Tails, Knuckles, and Eggman are in Serbia. There's an avalanche. We get like the little ice cap nod with the snowboard. And so Sonic ends up having Tom use one of the like ring portals, because the ring portals are honestly to me kind of fucking weird, but it's just like plot devices. It's whatever. But then like Sonic ends up having Tom use the ring to get them to Hawaii so they don't die in the avalanche, and it was just weird to me because it's just kind of ridiculous how like Sonic literally crashes into the other plotline, and then we have to spin that Rachel's fiance was a gun agent, and it turns out it was all a front to get Sonic to make it captured by gun, because they wanted to, like, aliens dissecting and all that. And honestly, I thought that was the funniest shit ever. Like, how completely, like, absolutely ridiculous how literally everyone involved at the wedding, aside from family, was just gun agents the whole time.
So fucking dumb. I also forgot since we were talking about like the product placement earlier, I thought you were going to bring up the fact that like the Not Commander Tower, like at the end of the first movie, like as a apology, gives them an Olive Garden gift card.
Yeah.
It just, like, made me think, like, what if that happened in like the fucking Shadow game? Like they the Commander Tower after like all that, like,
hey, sorry, we killed your sister. It's an Olive Garden coupon.
Sorry for trying to attack you. Sorry for the misunderstanding, Shadow. Here's an Olive Garden gift card, and Shadow just looks at it, utterly bewildered.
And then it hard cuts to him in Olive Garden, mouth full of breadsticks.
Team Dark and Team Sonic had Olive Garden. Shadow just kind of like sitting there, like annoyed about the whole thing and kind of confused. While Rouge just kind of tells him that's just how like gun rolls.
No, I'm just imagining
being a member of Gun.
I'm just imagining Team Dark is there, like Shadow, Rouge, and Omega is there, and everyone's like like all the other humans are just looking at Gamma, Omega rather, terrified, and then we cut outwards. Sonic is watching them, and then we cut outwards, and Tails is watching them, and then we cut outwards, and it's like Archimedes is watching them, and then Locke is watching them, and then Vespa is watching them, and then
God damn it!
Yeah, it was just like such a ridiculous twist to me that when Rachel's wedding was a gun operations thing, but it was just like so funny to me. Also, how the plane banner flying thing is just the tornado, and because that was probably also part of the guns thing, Tails just gets to use the tornado. I thought that was a cute little thing, given like I always just thought it was ridiculous that, like, I guess Tails can make planes or something, or they just found a plane or something. I always thought that was a bit weird and, like, actual Sonic canon.
I don't know, like, I know the whole thing of Tails being a gadget here was never really emphasized in the West until Adventure, like, forced them to acknowledge it. I just feel, like, I just because, like,
Sorry, just, again, Kath in the chat just said, like, when they're going back to the Olive Garden thing, they pan out again, and Tom's dog is watching them.
Fucking hell. I just wanted to say one thing regarding Tom's dog. It is very funny to me that Ozzy gets like much more rapport and screen time than Muskie has ever had in Archie.
I thought you were going to say that Tails never has.
No, Tails has a lot of screen time. I just always find it funny that Muskie is just kind of been neglected whenever it comes to Sonic's past and Archie comics and at SAT AM.
I just want to see what the what the behind the scenes footage is of the dog like licking the CGI stand-in. Honestly,
Oh my god.
I want to know what that looks like. Honestly, I just think that'd be really funny.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about the Sonic 2 movie? Anything in particular?
I think there's still some other stuff to talk about, like the final confrontation, like
Right.
also the singer. Like I did think like going back to what I was talking about with like the Death Egg robot and like nods and stuff, like it's something that also just felt like kind of funny to me was like as someone who is also complained a lot about how over-reliant super forms were for the big final bosses in Sonic games, like for a good period of time. Like it did feel just so refreshing to have ended off with like Sonic going super for the first time and just like destroying Eggman's robot.
Yeah.
Like the way that they go about it, like that's the kind of stuff that makes me that like I enjoy when Super Sonic is used, like having him like embracing just how overpowered Sonic is in this form.
Yeah,
But I also want to talk about.
No, before we go, I just and then Sonic like releases the Chaos Emeralds and all of that. It's like, it makes sense. He's like he chooses to be good and not a evil Power Man. But it's like releases to where? Where did you let them go, Sonic?
Well, like we see right afterwards that like the Chaos Emerald just like go back into like their shattered form and Knuckles reforms them back into the Master Emerald. So
but like
they still have.
In Sonic canon, in normal Sonic canon, the Chaos Emeralds are completely separate from the Master Emerald, and so I thought the implication was more that, like, Knuckles reformed the Master Emerald, a resealed Mammoth Mogul in it, and the Chaos Emeralds are just, like, elsewhere now, like, I didn't really view the vibe of, like, the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald are one and the same. It's just that more that I thought that the Chaos Emeralds were just sealed inside the Master Emerald. Again, like Mammoth Mogul.
No, I thought, like, we have to, like, reread, like, look up, like, read the wiki article, like, rewatch the scene, but, like, I figured, like, the Chaos Emeralds somehow were a part of the Master Emerald, like, fused with,
Right.
like, somehow, like, I do think, like, regardless, it is a weird way to go about handling the Master Emerald as, like, a concept in this. Though, what I also want to bring up regarding the Master Emerald in this is that, like, as described, I think, by Knuckles, is that it uses imagination's power, which is, like, how, like, Eggman is able to, like, form the robot, like, that he used in the climax, and how, like, at the end of, like, the whole super sequence, like, Sonic causes this chili dog to fall from the sky and eats it. Like it's just kind of a weird angle to go about the Master Emeralds. Like, it doesn't bother me, but, like, it's just kind of weird, but, like, alright, like, I guess that's one way to go about, like, showing its power and, like how it works in this universe. Like, it's kind of neat, but it's weird, but kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah, like, they do in offhanded lines definitely imply that it still feels off of energy. Like, it definitely implies that Eggman was using the negative energy, and then Sonic, Tom, and Maddie have a heart-to-heart, and then afterwards Sonic gets to go super because of the positive energy. But it is definitely weird how it definitely just... I guess we have Sonic being the Flash, and the Master Emerald is just the Lantern Corps, Like, it's kind of weird like that, but I think it was interesting.
Yeah.
It's also kind of weird how, like, in the scene when Eggman gets the Master Emerald afterwards, is the implication more that he's, like, tearing apart the gun trucks and using that and all the cars to build the Death Egg robot?
Yeah.
Does Sonic just, like, kill and, like cook a pig to make the chili dogs off screen then? Did he kill Hamlin?
God damn it.
We have the pig with Tom, we can have the pig with Hamlin.
God damn it. I guess he took a... Or maybe he just, like, I figured, like, he probably just, like, pulled a chili dog from somewhere else, like, in the world. Like, yanked someone's, like, chili dog from, like, a restaurant or something.
Or maybe it is just magical Green Lantern thought powers, and we're just overthinking it. Let me see. Yeah, I liked, like, I did really like the like. There's more of a focus on the characters outside of Sonic and friends. Like, there's the more human characters being focused on. Like, there is just an entire bit with Maddie and Rachel trying to save Sonic and Tails, and then it also has a side plot of Maddie forgiving her. Blanking on the guy's name. What's the guy? I wrote it down somewhere. Rachel's husband.
I forget what her like groom was called, because I'll be honest, that whole sequence was just, I knew it was coming, but I just didn't enjoy it. I was fucking cringing my seat. Like, oh,
Roland?
Roland.
Sorry, Willow said that, and I'm like, that sounds like it could be right, but it also just sounds like I'm just being baited into saying the Borderlands character. But yeah, I just remember in that scene thinking, like, it's weird how Tom just decks Roland instead of, like, just saying, like, hey, I actually got the rings mixed up. You can see the engravings here. Let me have this one, please. But pulling aside from that weird writing into the fact that everyone is a gun agent more than made up for it, 'cause I thought that was really fun. And then, like, having the bit with Maddie and Rachel using Tails as gadgets, I honestly thought was pretty fun. Like, I actually quite liked the side plot with Rachel and Roland. I did think that was fun.
That's fair enough. I didn't like I said, a lot of the human stuff at times just feels like so corny to me. Like, that's not the worst thing. I'll get into my least favorite part soon enough. But like, that was just something, like, I just really wish that, like, we could get on with it and get back to focusing on the main plot. Like,
yeah. Other things, just some stuff to rattle off. When Sonic is fighting off against Super Sonic, it was funny that he was fighting off against Eggman and the Death Egg Robot. It was funny that he just basically can-opened the Death Egg Robot.
Yeah, and that's what kind of shit I was talking about.
Yeah, and then Eggman was talking about his plans. He's like, I'm going to dominate Green Hills, which is the fictional city the movie takes place predominantly in. And then the world, and then the galaxy, and then the multiverse. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to have multiverse shit at some point, aren't we?
I didn't think much about that. Like, I just figured, like, it was just him being over dramatic, especially since it's just along the lines of that, like, that's, like, good enough for him, or something along those lines, which I thought was kind of funny. That, like, he just kind of like, yeah, I guess the multiverse would be, like, the limit for me.
Yeah, and then he does the haha one thing by, like, tipping the Death Egg over with his foot. Death Egg Robot over with his foot. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or do we want to just go into the post-credits?
In terms of, like, the movie, I wasn't sure if we were going to do, like, the...
We're not going to talk about the movie, but there's still a post-credits, so we could talk about overall thoughts as well. Right. But do you have anything else you wanted to say?
I don't know if there's... trying to think of, like, there's any specific points regarding the movie that I wanted to go over. Like...
I did like how I kept count of how many cars had been totaled. I didn't keep track of the ones in the Knuckles miniseries. They definitely totaled like 3 cars over the first 2 movies, and probably like 1 or 2 in the Knuckles series. Like, in terms of protagonist cars, I mean, there's definitely way more collateral. It was what did they call it? They called it, like, a power fist when they did, like, fist bumps, which is really weird to me, given Sonic Forces was definitely long out at this point, and they could have called it a fist bump.
I don't know, maybe they just felt like they wanted to distance themselves from Force.
God.
Wanted to bring up memories of the fist bump song.
Bring it back eventually. We're gonna have Infinite back, you cowards. Let Flynn write Infinite, you fucking assholes. Another brief thing I wanted to mention before I forgot. It was really funny how both this and the Knuckles series have to recap Sonic's backstory, and so he just pulls out the flashback from the recap bin as he's, like, opening a shelf in a drawer, and it just has the map and it recaps the movie. I don't like how, again, I don't really like how Sonic and Knuckles kind of just have superpowers. Like, obviously, there's always a thing that Sonic has super speed and Knuckles is just really strong. But again, the lightning stuff is a bit weird, and how they have, like, glowy eyes when they start powering up, I just thought was a bit weird and dumb.
I didn't mind it as much when it was just Sonic that had like the electricity, but like the fact that like Knuckles and I think even Tails kind of have it just. I don't know, like, I don't mind them having elemental affinities. I just figured, like, the lightning was thing, because, like, oh, Sonic's usually affiliated with having wind powers sometimes. Like, that makes sense. But then Knuckles starts having, thinking Tails has, like, okay, there's just a
Yeah,
weird thing to
weird stylistic
kind of
thing.
exist to be a plot device,
Yeah,
basically.
like I said, I just don't much care for the whole superpower lightning shit. I'm not really that into it, honestly. It just feels like they're just trying to say like, hey, the Flash is popular. Let's make Sonic more like the
I guess
Flash, and
so.
I'm just not really into it.
I, speaking of the Flash, it does remind me that, like,
Oh right, there's
at
the
least,
fact that
like,
Sonic just basically goes into stop time at points because
yeah, I
how
was gonna
fast he
say, like,
is.
I was a bit mixed on like them doing the Quicksilver bit like twice in the first movie. I don't remember if they did it again in this movie, but like it was a bit mixed at first. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I won't lie. It's kind of fun to see Sonic actually like go that super fast in the moment.
Yeah,
Especially the way that they do it the second time, where Eggman uses the quill to get to the same speed as Sonic and like knock him out of that the
yeah.
frozen time
After
period.
Sonic pushes Tom and
Oh yeah,
Maddie off the cliff.
yeah.
It's like, hey,
I
trust me on
remember.
this, and he fucking pushes them off one of the tallest buildings in San Francisco.
Yeah, like I kind of understood after a few seconds, like what his plan was. We're like, what are you doing, Sonic? What?
This is the first of two times I was like, is someone just gonna die here? Like when Knuckles just jumps from the tornado, and I had joked, what if after this point we just never see Knuckles again, and he just fucking died jumping from the tornado?
Or just took forever to get catch up with them.
God.
Something I do at least want to say regarding
Okay.
the second movie was that even though I still enjoyed Carrie's Eggman, I felt like it wasn't as funny as it was in the first movie. Like it felt like he
Right.
was a lot more. He had a lot more. Like I guess it's because like he's crazy, like from isolation and all, but it felt like he had like a
Mhm.
lot more like modern lingo going on with this. Like, it's kind of
Yeah.
a bit grown worthy at points.
Yeah, I don't like. I thought it was like, all right, like not as fun, but still, I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, I didn't really in the
Yeah,
moment feel like there's a major difference. So I can see what you mean. That it kind of feels more like making modern lingo like Sonic. But
yeah,
I thought it was pretty fun. One thing I do like is that they are just slowly making him morph into like canon Eggman. Like he shaves his
yeah,
head and in between the first and second movie and has like grown out like facial hair and all that and
yeah. Grown out his bushy stash.
yeah, and at one point when they like cut out to the Death Egg robot during the Supersonic confrontation, he goes like, "You cannot beat me," and it legitimately just sounded like Mike Pollock to me right there. It was really weird how it just he sounded like identical to Mike Pollock for a second.
Yeah, like I said, like he does like I feel he does a surprisingly good job of embodying Eggman's kind of like bravado and like a like self-absorbed like self-absorbed like genius kind of personality, like in a really well done way.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought I can see why you wouldn't like this movie as much. I kind of like this movie a bit more, but if maybe time will come and I'll like it less as it goes on. But I thought it was fun. I like you didn't like how it got weirder than the first movie, but I kind of liked it because it just felt like it was more making its own identity now that it doesn't have to
Mm.
have the baggage of being an origin story. And I just liked how it definitely felt like a movie where people were having a lot of fun doing a lot of
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
and
like
I liked how the characters were handled, and I liked the general story, even if it was basically just, we have Sonic origin story in the first one, and then Sonic 3 and Knuckles in the second one, and then we're gonna have Sonic Adventure 2 in the third one. But I thought it was a fun ride, honestly.
yeah, like I didn't mind to an extent it being so weird. It's just that like some of the gags just didn't land for me that well with this movie. Like
Mm.
I do agree. I do like that this is like forging its own kind of like interpretation of the Sonic world, like how it's interpreting some things. I just wish that we could have a bit more like exploration of some of this stuff, like with Long Claw and like Dark
Yeah.
Tribal, like what the worlds are, what like we kind of brushed it over,
Just
but
how
like
do you
Tales
pace
does
that, I
have
guess.
yeah, like I was gonna say like we kind of brushed it over, but like Tales does have like that general backstory of he was ostracized in his village, but like was inspired by Sonic, but in this case, like he because like he was watching over Sonic, like he was inspired by like how much of an outcast Sonic was and how strange he was, like he felt like kind of uh like like a relation to him. Like you gotta understand like how he feel. Like it's like I said I was going over earlier. I wish we could explore more of his and Sonic's relationship and like
Yeah.
Tails' his past, like with the before meeting up with Sonic.
Yeah, I feel like my biggest problem with the movie is that Tails just immediately gets sidelined for Knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that I thought was like incredibly disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the fucking
Oh
post
yeah.
credits. Yep, we're getting Shadow. Like I had unfortunately already been spoiled on this, and even before
And
of all the
also
trailers basically made it obvious.
Oh yeah, and also Stone, at least was alive, like a pretending to be a gun agent, like
Oh
as they were
yeah,
surveying the damage,
yeah. I
implying
thought
that
that was
Eggman
very
may or may not
funny.
be alive.
Yeah, I liked how Stone basically just like infiltrated the gun agents there. I thought that was really cute. Um, I wish I saw this movie in theaters just because I know for a fact I would have been in my mind fucking screaming when they said we found and declassified a file from 50 years ago. I would have been like, oh my god! You know, like I
Yeah,
would have been freaking out.
I spoiled myself like around when it came out, and that's kind of what got me interested in Paramount. I honestly like spoiling myself was kind of what getting me interested in checking out the Paramount
Yeah.
movies, like seeing like, oh shit, we're getting a Shadow movie next. Oh man, I can't wait to see how they handle them. Like, are we gonna get Rouge next? Like,
Yeah,
Ailey, like Chaos, Bio Lizard. What's next?
like it's funny to me, like, you know, everyone is at their own different pace, and, you know, everyone has their preferences, but it's funny, like, spoilers are usually what get me interested in things. Like, I would not have gotten into, like, Metal Gear or Persona had I not, like, already been spoiled on it by, like, Brawl or like the High Am Daisy comics by GGDG, respectively. But I do still kind of wish I didn't get spoiled on Shadow and just like
I
watch the
get
movie when
that.
it came out. Because yeah, no, that is a sick as hell uh fucking reveal. Even if it does lead into a lot of confusing lore bits for me that I don't know how they're
Oh,
gonna address, such as
like
if Sonic comes from a different world, what the fuck? How did they come up with Shadow? Especially if we're not getting a chaos at all, given the Echidna tribe slaughtering is now just completely irrespective of chaos
yeah,
emerging from the Master Emerald, and to call is a spoiler for the Knuckles series once we get into it, nowhere to be seen.
yeah. We can like. I want to talk more about like the Shadow stuff and like the lore implications of this, like when we get to the Sonic Free trailer talk, because like I have some thoughts about this as
Okay, well,
well.
we can pin this for now if you want to. It's
Hmm.
just, we can just leave it now for those who are avoiding trailers for the Sonic 3 movie. I think it weird, but I'm interested to see how they
Yeah, yeah,
handle it.
yeah. Definitely. Like I'm very much like I said, I'm very much interested in this like interpretation of the Sonic universe, and I want to see like how they handle some of this later like post Genesis
Yeah,
content.
like I think as much as I like the initial premise of Sonic in the real world, two worlds kind of shit, as much as it just is grown worthy to me as someone who doesn't like it in Sonic X either, I'm still
Hmm.
interested in this version of the Sonic universe. I would love for us to
Yeah.
like actually get into Sonic multiverse bullshit again, even if to just have like movie Sonic meet up with game Sonic, I think would be interesting in
Yeah.
like some weird
I
way.
I am honestly kind of surprised that like it is like that we like that I'm so interested in this universe, but it's nice. Like it's nice to have like a piece of Sonic media that isn't attached to the main game, that isn't canon to it, that can do its own thing and
Yeah.
not be irrevocably tied to the game canon. Cough cough Sonic Prime, cough cough cough.
Oh god, I've still not watched Sonic Prime.
I have not been even
I
sold on it
I
too.
I'll be real. I don't want to. Like I
I
will
don't
because
really
I want
want
to do
to
my due
either.
process, and apparently Sonic Shadow shippers are just and we're just eating good with that. But I
Yeah.
don't think I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm just gonna lay
I
my cards out
don't
on it.
either.
Then again, I didn't think I would enjoy the Knuckles miniseries, but here I am with terminal brain rot thinking the Knuckles miniseries is my favorite part of what we watched today, and
Oh
that's
boy.
a good enough segue into that can
Yeah.
of worms.
Oh boy. You go first. I really do want to hear your thoughts first.
So I went into the Knuckles miniseries knowing full well that everyone was complaining that it was unendurably boring and that Knuckles basically has no focus in it other than and is almost entirely focused on the human characters. But I'm just gonna be real with you. Going into it,
Yeah.
knowing that's the case and just setting my expectations accordingly, I thought it was a really fucking fun story, and I loved Wade. Like, I could tell from your reaction you fucking hated Wade, but I fucking loved Wade. He is such, like, an absolute doofus of a comic relief character, and seeing the journey of him being humanized, like, going through the family struggles he has to deal with, and then, like, having him grow and develop as a person, even if it does, like, completely like sideline Knuckles to the point where he barely shows up in the back half of the show, I actually still really had a lot of fun watching it.
Okay, let's first talk about Wade, because like I spoiled myself before this, because like even before this was coming out, I was following along the news press cycle for this, and as soon as I saw like the thing about like the bowling alley like event when like the premiere party thing for this, I kind of knew in the back of my mind like I'm not. This is gonna be incredibly controversial, and it was that like with not just the Sonic fans, but like the viewer base as a whole was gonna be split on this. Like as soon as I realized this is gonna be much more lean on like the human stuff than people are probably anticipating. This is not gonna be like a full on Knuckles miniseries. But I still want to have kind of like positive. I didn't want to go in like fully expecting to hate this. Like I had my biases going in, but I didn't want to like have it fully be like envelop my opinion. But as I was going through that first episode, I was immediately feeling downturn as soon as we cut away. Like, oh no, this is so awkward because it is. It's not. The thing with Wade himself is throughout this entire series so far, like I find him very like corny and like, a little too much at times. Like, he's not the worst part to me. Like sometimes he does get like a good like quip here and there, but like, focusing on so much like, oh no, this is so awkward. I don't want to watch this. But like honestly, even if I do feel like he gets way too much focus, I don't entirely hate him. Like his actor does have like some good comedic timing, and I
Yeah,
do
John
kind of
Goodman.
like his relation. Shut up. He does have like some good like comedic like relationship with Knuckles, though. I'll talk about Knuckles. I'll get into, but like he wasn't the worst part of this, at least for me. I just felt like he was getting way too much focus. It was just way too fucking awkward for me to sit through. But not like a. I don't think it was so much just like the intentional awkwardness. It was just like the fucking corny joke that just did not end. Just was reminding me of like. It reminded me of fucking Ant-Man and Wasp, like watching that movie and just like cringing into my seat, like the comedic bits that just wouldn't fucking end. Just stop. Just enough of the Lino-Rama. Just get to a point already.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I always remember when we were watching it, we got to episode 3, which is when Wade lays low and
no.
visits his family, and his family. We also find out that Wayne's dad had left him at a TJ Maxx, which was
Yeah, that was
so
bold.
funny.
I was seriously just thinking throughout the entire thing. Is this supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be emotional? Like this feels just way too. It was just feeling like it was the same kind of thing I felt with the past movies, but even more so. Just like how seriously are we meant to take this? Like we're meant to like I feel like we are meant to have like some level of endearance to Wade, but still think like, oh, he's just like a dorky loser. Like, still have like some fun at his expense, but still invest ourselves in him. Like, but
like,
that
hold on, I was still in the
is
middle
just...
of a thought here.
Sorry.
Was that like that entire sequence where he lays at the family, and is just like having to deal with his
Oh no.
trying to just like put it delicately, just because many people just use phrases and get just really, really charged and weird and shitty about it. His Jewish mom, who is very much into like displaying her Jewish traditions, and I do definitely remember unearthing a memory of them just like talking about how Knuckles is fucking entire tribe was slaughtered, and then she was just like,
God,
yeah, like we've had our fair share of difficulties too, and I was like,
oh
no,
oh my god, that scene, that was just... That was like, there's a lot of moments in that episode that were just like, oh no, like, for various reasons, there's just awkwardness. But when they dropped that ball, like, holy shit, he actually went there! Oh my god! He actually, what?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, like everyone was like, oh, can we just skip this? Can we just skip this? And I'm gonna be honest, I think that was my favorite episode in the miniseries. It's like, just seeing, like, the family drama situation. Like, sure, like, Wade's, like, bitchy... Huh?
Sorry, the game into... I'm trying to sleep, sorry. That's
okay.
that. You're making so loud.
Yeah, so Wade's bitchy, Wade's bitchy sister, Wanda, I'm not gonna defend because she was just incredibly annoying and was just, like, unrealistically annoying, and I'm not gonna defend that, but I just liked the little family drama about that, and, like, how, like, Knuckles was just bonding with, his mom, and not in that way. Shut up. But...
Oh my god.
Was
someone
like...
saying that in chat?
No, I was just saying it to you.
No, I wasn't going to say anything about, like, I actually did like things like his bond with Wade's mom was kind of cute, like in a weird, awkward way. But like,
yeah, no, I liked the episode. I think it was my favorite episode of just like the little family drama moments and like all the banter, and also the part where Wanda straight up stabs Wade in the arm.
That part.
There's like some. There's some fucking weirdly adult moments in this of like, or like the part where like later on Wanda and Wade's mom get like held hostage and like handcuffed, and Wanda dislocates her thumb, and we had to break free from the handcuffs, and we get to see her trying to do a thumbs up, and it was so gross.
Yeah, we didn't need to see that.
Yeah, no, I
kept that in the Nickelodeon rebroadcasting of this.
But yeah, no, I thought it was I actually thought that was my favorite episode, even though I'm sure a lot of people thought it was their least favorite episode, given that's like when the series really starts like sidelining Knuckles and focusing way more on Wade. But yeah, no, I just thought Wade was an interesting character, and the story he has is fun, even if it's weird and ridiculous. And before we get into some major turns, I want to backtrack a bit.
Yeah.
Fucking Patrick Kamak, what? Why is he like a cool, trying to be like a cool uncle ghost? I don't like it. It's really weird, given in the fucking original canon, he basically wants to do a genocide and kills his daughter, trying to use the Master Emerald to do a war.
Yeah, even in this canon, like, there's a lot to get into, but like, although in this canon, we know that he was trying to hunt down Longclaw in the first movie. Like, I have some thoughts regarding Patrick Kamak's ghost, spirit, whatever, when we get more into that. But yeah, it was a choice, to say the least. A lot of things of this as a choice, to say the least.
Yeah, like, that's the one thing I'm not really in the vibe to defend, is how Patrick Kamak was handled here. I do not like Chris Lloyd, fun Uncle Patrick Kamek. Like, you can do whatever you want with your characters, and you can make them in, like, any shape or form you want. So it's not a matter of that. Like, but I just think taking the evil warlord in the original original Sonic Adventure and just turning him into like a fun buddy ghost just feels weirdly disingenuous, and like you didn't really care about the original story a bit.
There's ever been like that with in this series, but
like, I mean, we're about to get into that. So do you want to just talk about the flames of disaster, or is there anything else you want to get into first?
I feel like there's some other stuff we can talk about before we get into how it handles the lore of the branch of like it's adapting, like.
I just really want to talk about the flames of disaster. Is there like what else do you
turn this on? Yeah, like there's some other stuff I want to talk about regarding the Knuckles series before we get into this. Sure. That is what spurred us on to deciding to watch the Paramount series in one day today.
I mean, what else do you want to talk about here? Like, honestly, before we get into it, I mean...
I at least wanted to talk about, like, I guess, some of the other characters, as well as, like, the Sabat dinner episode was just...
Oh, right, there was some more stuff I wanted to talk about that. You're right, yeah. You're a good cookie. I love you.
Thank you. But yeah, if we're going to get into the Sabat dinner episode, that one was... I knew what was coming again beforehand. I spoiled myself, but like seeing it play out was just both awkward and in the intentional and unintentional way of just it just never ends.
I thought
the constant bickering between. I did not enjoy it, both from the perspective of I just don't find this kind of like awkward cringe comedy that funny, but also just for how long it goes on and how much I just could not stand Wanda as a character.
I mean, I watched fucking Nathan For You in full, so we are different people when it comes to what we do and don't like.
I get that. Like, I figured, like, as, like, going through, like, the second episode, I realized, like, oh yeah, we're definitely not going to agree on this theory.
Like, one of my favorite, pieces of work is fucking Unboxing Ring by Mega64, in which is just, like, framed like a shitty, like, unboxing video. Something goes wrong, and then Rocco's character goes off screen, and the entire video is just Rocco's character arguing with the characters of the other people at Mega 64, like their characters, as if it's like, why did you fucking do this? How could you fuck it up again? And it's like, the entire thing is just like, just them arguing for the entire runtime and never actually getting back to the unboxing. And it was just a really fun, like, cringe comedy that then, like, gets, like, really interestingly emotional after a while. So I like cringe comedy, but one thing I did want to point out about that episode, the entire fucking Hava Nagila sequence, I genuinely think was cinematic brilliance, as it's just like one long unbroken 360-degree rotating shot, like that 70s show style, as Knuckles and Wade's mom are fighting off the people who are trying to capture Wade, as they're also trying to protect, I'm blanking on the name, sorry, but like the candles, the traditional candles.
Yeah, like, I felt I kept was going back and forth on Wade's mom, but like I feel like I kind of saw, I'm like, okay, I do like this character, like, and again, the fact that she is actively competent in helping out is like silly as it is, like it makes it less bad for me. It's just that, like, I don't know, it's so much. It's just not. I think my big problem with it is it's just very much not what I was wanting or expecting from a Knuckles focused mini-series. Like, though I also feel like, I don't know if like it's been confirmed or anything like that, but it feels like this was like probably a problem of like the strikes going on around this time. Probably the strikes and maybe COVID affecting production of this, probably, or maybe budgetary issues.
It feels like this movie was either made with... Shut up. You're not a smart cookie anymore. I untake my pats. No, pat. But it feels like this mini-series either was made by people who didn't want to make it or by people who were given way too much creative freedom, and so they just made the most ridiculous thing whatever and whatsoever. And honestly, I love it for that. Like, I agree with you that is not what I expected or wanted from a Knuckles series, but I went into that knowing that was the case, and so I viewed it on its own rights, and I just thought it was a really fun story.
I can get that.
And it also part of it is just we needed to just have Knuckles accustomed to human life and get out of that culture shock, so we don't have to spend much time with it when we are focusing way more on Shadow. And so I feel like this is just more of a weird stopgap to basically get Knuckles caught up to speed in that regard.
Fair. Yeah, I do understand the purpose of it. And I to an extent I knew what I kind of figured it'd be kind of like that going in. I just wish that it was not so entirely focused on Wade, because genuinely in those last 2 episodes I was getting so bored of how long it focused on the bowling alley stuff, while the whole main conflict with Knuckles going on is just kind of tacked on. But we'll get to that. But
I feel I just enjoyed the entire situation with Wade and his dad, and I thought it was a really fun. I just like family stories. I just like that kind of stuff, and so again, weighing it on its own and just viewing it as the Wade miniseries from the book of Sonic the Hedgehog rather than the Knuckles series that gets completely hardlined into focusing on Wade. I just thought it was a really fun story.
That's fair.
What do you want to talk about now? Can we get into the Flames of Disaster now?
I at least want. I guess we can probably hold off and talk about the villains of it after.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the villains for a bit.
Because I do want to talk about that 4th episode. Because holy shit.
Yeah.
When you're talking about creative freedom, they definitely had a lot of creative freedom with this one.
Yeah. So fucking Wade's friend who betrays him at the very beginning in a very comedic way rather than an actual serious way, ends up betraying him again for real in a dramatic way by capturing him because people want to gun agents want a bounty on Wade because he's harboring Knuckles, and we'll get more into motives because it mainly just gets focused on at the end of the series anyway. But basically Wade is captured by his friend, gets tased by the No, let's just talk about that part too. Wade's friend ended up getting sued.
Jack Sinclair.
Yeah, Jack Sinclair, who's also a bounty hunter, was sued by Rainforest Cafe for attacking the animatronics, and so to make up for the money, he captures Wade and puts him in a giant novelty cage as they're driving out to Reno to do the bowling tournament.
That he bought off of Facebook Marketplace that they very much acknowledge front and center twice.
And then they have the fucking just all of that being framed like a freak show thing. Oh, look at this wanted fugitive on the signage, and it's incredibly funny. But so then the cage electrifies, tases Wade, and he passes out. Also, I focused way too much on Wade getting tased earlier, and it was weirdly uncomfortable for a bit. But Wade passes out, gets woken up by Pachacamac. We do that dumb bit where he's pronouncing his name wrong, and that's one of my things I hate personally. But then Wade goes on a spirit journey with Pachacamac to figure out how to grow and develop on his own in the form of, quote, a low-budget rock opera in which Wade is wearing a Knuckles suit, and Jack Sinclair is dressed up as Longtown, and it's just
Longclaw, yeah.
Fucking weird. It's absolutely insane, and we have Michael Bolton singing for Wade. It's just one of the most insane things I've ever witnessed, and that was when it absolutely cinched to me is that be it budgetary reasons, the people didn't care about it, it was forced to, or they just didn't have as many resources because of the writer's strike. They decided to just do whatever the fuck they wanted, and I was all fucking for it. It was the funniest shit I'd ever seen.
Yeah, this was one of the things I knew about, when the show dropped out of curiosity. And it was something I was curious about. I found out about because I was curious about what the show is, and I was It was after the fact I've been wanting to watch to see like what is this actually like. I remember seeing a glimpse of it in the initial trailer and wondering like what the hell? Why is Wade in a Knuckles suit running around Emerald Hill? And I see some of the rock opera finally and like holy shit, this is insane. This is regardless of I knew kind of going in like regardless of what I feel about this show, this was going to be the highlight, and it kind of is. Like, it is. It's very. Like, from what I understand, there apparently was going to be an actual flashback sequence they were going to do, but didn't have the means to do so, so they decided to go this route for some reason, because I guess, like, I think, like, the guy who plays Jack Sinclair was on a show called The Mighty Boosh, and this is, I guess, meant to be a homage to that show. I think
Right.
it's also like a very irreverent rock opera focused, like a musical comedy series.
The part where like
Oh my
they
god!
explain how Patrick Mac dies and like
And
a
Knuckles is
Wade,
dad.
yeah, a Wade as Knuckles is like looking at him like, no, don't die, Dad, and it cuts to him and he's just a fucking puppet all of a sudden, despite the fact that he was also a guy in a suit earlier.
I wish I did not get spoiled on that bit at the very least. Like, it was going to be impossible to avoid the rock opera, but the Knuckles dad death scene is legitimately one of the funniest things that this movie franchise has given us, especially since you did notice a resemblance, right, of what Knuckles' dad looked like?
No,
You didn't think it looked like Ken Penders?
I didn't. No.
That's what a lot of people like assume that it might be like a nod to like.
I
If
mean, a lot
anything,
of
like
people fucking, a lot of people thought the fucking like nerdy little like creep obsessed with Sonic and Sonic Boom looked like Chris Chan, even though there's like
well,
no
yeah.
resemblance. So like, I wouldn't fucking think that that Knuckles' dad looked like Ken.
I mean, like, I kind of know it's resemblance because it's something like a lot of people were pointing out, especially since like the whole controversy of Ken getting mad about them having Knuckles have a father in the second movie and wanting to sue Paramount. That it could be like them like poking fun at that in response.
God,
That is that was just so fucking. Like you putting that aside, that's such a fucking funny bit. It's just
it's
something
so
kind of
good.
Muppet Knuckles dad, like wearing a number one dad shirt with like a fucking bushy mustache and glasses, like suddenly getting X's over his eyes. Legitimately one of the funniest things to come out of the movie so far.
It was so fucking good. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how, and I definitely missed parts of it, like mentally, and at one point he's like fighting like in the rock opera he's fighting like a demon and I'm just like, is this meant to be Iblis or something, or is it like meant to be metaphor? Like, what is this supposed to represent whatsoever?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like Iblis, and like they keep talking about the flames of disaster, which will spoil later on. It's just the maximum heat knuckle attack for some reason. So
Yeah, it's Knuckles' fire attack
I
from
don't
like
know why
Battle and Heroes.
what this demon is supposed to be.
Yeah, that's a big thing that does kind of make me the rock opera its flashback vision journey thing itself. Like as much as I do find it fun, like between that and Pac-Man, it just kind of leaves me confused as to how much this actually happened. Like, is this Pac-Man that we see throughout the mini-series actually who Pac-Man is? It is a spirit from the grave coming to visit Knuckles and Wade? Is it just like a mental projection of what they think he is like or what they imagine he's like? Is it like is it Pac-Man himself? Like was Pac-Man this like friendly of guy? Did he, if it is the real Pac-Man, did he like mellow out in the afterlife? Is like this him? Like with the way that the backstory itself plays it out, like because we like with the way that the backstory played out in the rock opera makes it seem like the owls are the bad guys. Like they like cross like the echidnas first or something. Like the uh like Pac-Man like is like like the backstory makes it feel like the rock opera makes it feel like the echidnas are the victims in this situation, whereas the flashback that we get in Sonic 2, the movie, makes it seem like the owls are the ones stopping the echidnas from going mad with power and abusing the Master Emerald for like taking over their worlds. Like, again, we don't. It was like the whole thing with Knuckles fighting the demon slash potentially Iblis itself. That I it just literally made me wonder, like, did he actually fight Iblis off screen? We don't know much about his backstory beyond like the prequel comic, but I do remember like briefly looking it over and seeing something about him in the prequel comic, like being in like some sort of gladiatorial arena, like fighting monsters and stuff, like before like he breaks out and starts looking for Sonic and the Master Emerald. So like maybe he fought like the fire demon at one point and got the flames of disaster from that, but like if this truly is Iblis and he that is what the flames of disaster are in this continuity, then that's one hell of a way to sidestep '06, and two, I hope that Knuckles never cries.
Yeah. Oh no!
Or never like has like an emotional moment of weakness like Elise did.
I think they just wanted to have the maximum heat Knuckles attack, but then wanted to just call it something cooler. I'm just gonna be honest. Sure. I don't think it's meant to be anything.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I think ultimately like this is probably not gonna amount to that much in the long run, especially since like whatever they had planned for the original Vision flashback thing like fell through, so they had to go for the rock opera route. Like this probably is not going to be like that important or like that like actually relevant in canon to the rest of the franchise. Like it is probably just going to be like a fun kind of background thing, unless we do get more into the echidnas. Because yeah, like the stuff with Paka Kamek was just leaving me wondering, like, is he really that good of a guy? Like, I don't know. The way the movies were portraying the echidnas, at least like Paka Kamek, made it seem like he's still kind of a warlord, and like this is just like Knuckles' like naive view of what like Paka Kamek is. Like it does bug me out though that we don't, at least for the time being, we don't get either Chaos or Tikal, like any sort of like potential moment of like Knuckles losing that pedestal for Paka Kamek. That's because like going back to my problems with the lack of Knuckles is that like Knuckles doesn't really have as much of an emotional arc or like something to parallel Wade beyond just the fact like he doesn't view Green Hills as home in the same way that Sonic and Tails do. Like I wish that we had something like that with like, given Wade has a whole thing with his dad like idolizing him, even though it turns out like he's a massive piece of shit. Like we never get that moment with Knuckles realizing that like Paka Kamek is not like this kind, like wise, like mentor figure. That he really was like a cruel, like warlord willing to abuse the Master Emerald. Like it bums out we don't get anything more on like Knuckles' actual backstory. It's just kind of the rock opera and that's it.
I get that. And yeah, it'd be interesting to lean more into that, and Knuckles actually going to like find a family rather than he watches a bunch of movies and then decides his family. But like, you're asking to just rewatch the first movie again with Knuckles to an extent, and B, you're basically expecting to have the show you didn't really like much anyway to have to be like 2 to 4 episodes longer to be able to even account for that, you know?
I get that. Like, I also do want to say, like, regards to your first point, that's kind of a problem I have with this show as well, that it does kind of feel like a rehash of the first movie. Because it does feel like both this and the sequel do rehash a lot from that first movie, whether it be gags or plot points. I do agree that, like, it would kind of just be rehashing what we went through with Sonic in the first movie. Like, if they're rehashing, like, enough of that like as is, like might as well go the full 9 yards. But yeah, like I do agree, like it's not like what I expect. Like I didn't expect them to actually do that like afterwards. Like I just wish that there was just something more for Knuckles in this, for like a show that was like billed as like his show. Like I still do just kind of find that frustrating. Like even if I can kind of accept, like, ultimately this is, like, the Wade show guest starring Knuckles, like, I guess that's what it ended up being, but, like, it's not exactly what I was kind of wanting from this.
Yeah. I don't have much else to talk about, so we can basically, before we do our wrap up, just talk about the antagonists, unless there's anything else you wanted to.
Yeah. I don't know if I actually do want to talk that much about the antagonists, because they, outside of, I guess, Pistol Pete, they really aren't that much to write home about.
I
They're
feel like
kind of annoying.
Willoughby's. I thought Willoughby was fun. I thought Mason was fun. I liked the entire bit where Mason's mom just calls in the middle, and he's like, they were just having like an awkward conversation. I feel like my problem is that they just don't have the staying power of Eggman, and as a result are just kind of boring. But like in the moment, I thought they were pretty fun, and so I don't know. It's just like it's more like okay, I guess.
Yeah,
but
like
their motivations are just kind of. I don't even remember what their motivations were. It seemed like it was basically just Willoughby was not trusted by Gunn, and the alien stuff with Sonic appearing happened, and she basically got like fucked over by Gunn, and it just seemed very nebulous and kind of like, oh, we need a way to tie into things. It was extremely funny to reveal that she was the one that had to get the fucking Olive Garden gift card from the first movie, though. I thought that was incredibly funny.
Yeah, like Willoughby was just like a jilted ex-gun employee, I guess, while Mason likes fighting, I guess. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't really get what it... Yeah, like, them and the buyer really just feel like Eggman decomposited into, like, different characters. Like, they're just kind of there because Knuckles needs to fight something.
Yeah, the buyer
It's
was
very
just
much
even
a tacked-on thing.
Yeah, the buyer was just even less of a character, honestly. He just felt like a footnote to get to the ending, and I honestly don't even remember what his goal and what his motive was, other than he was also spurned by Gunn.
I don't really know what his motive is either. It just seemed to be, I want Knuckles' power, I got his power, now to kill him and Wade.
No, I know, like... Yeah, because Mason never had a motivation, what Willow said. I know for a fact Buyer had a motivation. He didn't have a fucking name. But Buyer definitely had a motivation, because I do remember him explaining it at, like, towards the end. He was monologuing. I just don't remember what it was. And for all I remember, I think he was just also spurned by Gunn, like a Willoughby was.
Yeah, that's kind of the other problem I have with Knuckles stuff is, like, even when we get back to that after being done with Wade stuff, like, it just is not that interesting. Like, it, again, feels like rehashing stuff from Eggman's plot from the first movie, but less fun and, like, lamer. Like, it just feels kind of tacked on. Like, they needed to have, like, some sort of, like, conflict for Knuckles to deal with. Like, it didn't even feel that interested when we got done with, like, Wade stuff, because, like, the Knuckles plot was so boring. I didn't care about these villains, and it wasn't, like, I had, like, a few fun fight moments, like, it was just kind of there, like, we could call this some Knuckles show.
Yeah, the series, it definitely felt like they needed, like, another episode or two if they're gonna keep the plot as is, to just, or just, like, make another, like, an extra episode that's just, like, an hour-long finale, and, because otherwise... Yeah, no, it's just an absolute footnote. Because I genuinely thought we weren't even gonna have the buyer show up. I thought he was just gonna be, like, written off because Willoughby and Mason got sent through a portal into the ether, I guess, because now the ring portals can suck people in, which I thought was weird how they changed that in the last minute. Yeah, also, where did the gun agents even get the rings, by the way?
I don't know. I guess they picked it up at one point, like, confiscated from one of, like, Sonic and Eggman's battles. Like, since probably some got loose from Sonic's bag or something. I don't care.
Okay, Kath saved us. The buyer was a person sided with Robotnik, but, like, got screwed over and censored by Gunn because of such. and then he became like an underground tech dealer out of spite. But still, like
Yeah, yeah,
pretty boring of a character, honestly. Very
yeah,
uninteresting. And both Will and Kat did say like, yeah, the rings did get dropped, but like where though? Like Green Hill and
San
Siberia.
Francisco.
I guess San Francisco, right? It's just like with the amount of rings they use at least like three, maybe four of them, and I feel like Sonic would have picked up most of them, aside from I guess the ones he loses in Siberia. But like, I guess Gunn would know about that because of the fucking wedding crash, the entire wedding that Sonic literally crashed into. So I guess
Yeah,
Gunn would possibly know about the rings there. So I guess that makes sense. I just don't. I just think it's weird how the rings can suddenly just start sucking in and also acting as portals.
yeah, it's just kind of a plot device. I didn't think too much of it. Like, it's just something they needed for a set piece.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't bother me too much.
Um, and then yeah, we get the final confrontation with Knuckles and the buyer, and Knuckles uses the flames of disaster. And
Yeah.
honestly, as much as it is a very funny meme standalone, in its original context, it's like yeah, no, he's just saying the line. It doesn't like he's just like pointing out the Knuckles attack that he's doing. Like it honestly was like incredibly underwhelming, and as someone who actually really enjoyed the Knuckles series, it felt like it was more like, oh great, people are just gonna only be thinking about that because I am in the huge minority of people who actually liked the Knuckles series. But it's also still
Yeah.
just a pretty funny meme standalone.
Yeah. I do still. I hate how much I find the stupid flames of disaster thing funny. Like,
I
it
do
shouldn't
too.
be.
I do too.
But
Like
it's
it's
the
just
delivery in
funny
this
seeing the
stupid
John
face is
Goodman
so
ass
funny.
Wayne just like with the goofy smile as he's like the flames of disaster. It's literally as
It's
someone
also
who
just the fact that,
didn't
like,
know what the context was.
yeah, especially if you, like, knew the context from, like, Sonic game canon, but not movie canon. Like, what? What do you mean the flames of
Like
disaster?
in my head, since I forgot Wade was a character up in
Yeah.
the previous movie and thus didn't know who that character was. In my head, I thought the movie was gonna be like, oh, he turns out to actually like be a villain and he's like using like actual like magic flames like Iblis, but not quite because they're not gonna put Iblis in a fucking miniseries. And so I thought
Uh,
he was gonna be like the main antagonist at Knuckles fights and not just him like calling out Knuckles' attack at the very end. And so when we got to the meme, I was like, that's actually very underwhelming. Never mind.
Cooper. Yeah, also, I do want to at least talk about a bit about Knuckles' character in this, because
How
I
dare
like
you? How dare you talk about your favorite character and how they handled him?
I feel bad for like ragging on this so much because I didn't want to go in hating this. Like I don't want to hate this, but like it's just it's not for me. I'm glad that we both don't agree on like one thing with this. That like we are both kind of split on how to feel about this show. So I feel like this makes it more of an interesting discussion. But, like how I feel with Knuckles as a character in this, like I don't hate how he's handled, but I do feel like they just kind of flatten him to just kind of be like the proud warrior
Yeah.
character. Like how much they bring up the word warrior. Like, good God, you could make a drinking game out of how much they say it. Like Knuckles alone. Like
Yeah,
it was
I feel like the
just
Tribal
so
Warrior
good.
stuff is a bit tiring, especially as it goes on.
Yeah, like it's like I said, it reminded me a lot of like Drax and Four from the MCU. Like that kind of shtick of like the proud warrior guy. But like there's just it was just making me more of like what was Echidna what was like the Echidna tribe like? Like just how like I guess they must have just been like a very war combat focused tribe or
I thought you
like was
said
really,
a
really
I thought you said a
shut
Vor
shut
con focused tribe. I'm like, what?
shut the fuck
That's
up.
that's one way of retrieving sustenance for your tribe, I guess.
Shut up.
And
I said war.
I know he said war.
Uh,
Maybe it just cuts to the kidneys boring the owls, and it pans back, and I'm
no.
stalking,
No.
and it pans back, and you're getting ready to fucking stab me.
Yes. God. But yeah, like, it just was something I was wondering, like, what the hell was Echidna life like? We said what Neck was experienced, because it just sounded like it was nothing but conflict, because it sounded like they didn't have music, they didn't have, like, any sort of recreation, like, it was just combat and training. But yeah, like Knuckles' character was just so repetitive of how much he talks about like being a warrior, training him to be a warrior. Good
like, I didn't.
God.
It's funny because I thought like that whole tribal warrior archetype or stereotype or whatever. I remember before watching these movies, I was like, I'm tired of this trope. I'm not super into it, honestly. Then watching, I was like, actually, I don't mind it. I was actually like, this is fine. Like, it does get a bit tiring in the Knuckles series, so I didn't despise it as much as you did come the end of the Knuckles series.
Yeah. That's also just kind of how I feel like Knuckles is just kind of a character that's kind of hard to pin down as to, is he a brute? Is he just stupid?
Is he a ladies' man?
Warrior? He is a bit of a ladies' man.
He has a way with words, apparently. I just want to know, in the Echidna tribe, if, like, he was actually being honest and that was just, like, what was going on in, like, his actual tribe with, like, you know, with them all talking like this. I just want to see that. I just want to see ladies' man Knuckles. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm sure we'll get that soon enough in Archie, Cammy.
We already got that in Archie and unreleased episodes that I just was too depressed to edit. We recorded it.
I was thinking like one of the last issues of the Knuckles mini.
Oh, we didn't record that yet. You're right. We didn't record that.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That's what I was thinking of too. I just forgot we didn't record that part.
Yeah. That fucking issue.
Yeah. Knuckle series good. Vespa Knuckle series bad. My brain don't work. Why did I like this?
I don't know. I can see why you like you said, you enjoy a lot of like cringe comedy stuff like that. Like I can see why people would enjoy this. Like it's just very much. I'm not a fan of the movie's sense of humor for the most part when it comes to the human characters. Like it just doesn't really land for me, and some bits of this just felt really painfully cringe, like intentionally cringy, and that's not my brand of humor, but I can get why people would vibe with this show. And I do at least think that, like, the rock opera bit, like, as silly as it is the genuine highlight of the series for me, and I'm glad they got to have this weird, creative burst of madness the fact that like we couldn't get like a straightforward flashback potentially led to this insane shit. Like if we had more stuff like this, like weird like creative shit like this, like I'd be down with the show more.
I do think it was weird how Knuckles was just like, I only eat grapes and Cool Ranch Doritos.
Yeah, instead of fucking Cool Ranch Doritos, we didn't talk too much about that, but there was like a real bad part of product placement at the start of the series when Knuckles is like, as a reward for himself for beating the fucking construction crew that was repairing Maddie's and Tom's house, like rewarding himself with a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos and like just laying that product placement on thick, like holy shit.
It was really funny. I mean, it's working. I really want Cool Ranch Doritos right now, so I can't say it didn't work. It is the best brand of Doritos, and if you say otherwise, you suck.
I did find it funny when like Knuckles brings it up in the second episode, like with Wade, like I only like grapes and Cool Ranch Doritos. Like it felt like that was like 80 yards in, as if like in case they didn't get the licensing or something.
I like the alternative that Knuckles has tried like nacho cheese Doritos and just fucking hates it.
That would actually be kind of funny if they did have that.
There's just a scene where Wade was like planning out how he's gonna break out Knuckles, and he was going through the convenience store, and in my mind I saw the Takis. I was like, man, I'd love to see Knuckles. Dude, the fucking Takis are seriously intense. And then he just like crumples to the ground. There's something.
I won't. We didn't go over the second episode, but I will say, like, even if I don't like Wade that much, like, there was a part of me that was still finding some of his, like, both, like, his, like, fantasy of how he imagines the plan is going to go and how it, like, immediately, like, blows up in its face.
I like how he
was
thinks.
Kind of a funny bitch.
I like how he thinks he would be able to repel himself with dental floss.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
That's so stupid.
Like, I can't hate Wade. Like, there's some bits with him, like, some of it, like, oh, it's just so annoying. But, like, none of that stuff, like, okay, this guy's actually got some, like, good comedic timing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's in, but, like, I know he's, like, a character actor that's probably been in other stuff before this.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel
there
like
are some bits with him, like, I do find kind of funny. Like, I
I
have to admit.
I feel like at points they try and make him more like Tom because Tom was never even in the series. They never even got his actor even for a
Yeah.
cameo at the beginning. But I do like how they still made him just a fucking fail guy. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Do we want to get into trailer
yeah,
talk?
I think that does it for the Sonic movie 1, movie 2 and Knuckles series talk. So if any of you want to dip out because you don't want to see any spoilers for movie 3 because that's time of recording,
Mm-hmm.
we only have like one trailer and that's about it. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry I haven't been updating the podcast. I will get back to it as soon as I can. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, now that people have left, oh, I'm so excited.
I'm pretty hyped too. First things first, since we're getting off of the Knuckles series, I do find it funny that at least going by the trailers, that whole Flames of Disaster thing is immediately discarded. The moment Knuckles fights Shadow, he
Yeah,
immediately gets his ass whooped. Like so
it
much
gets
for
his
that whole
hand
victim
dislocated, which
God,
is
yeah, that
also
was.
so violent.
I fucking. I have to. I feel kind of mixed on the first trailer we got for this, but like the amount of brutality Shadow shows in this trailer, like, oh yeah, this is the
Yeah,
kind of stuff I want to see Shadow do, like embracing like the fact that he is the strongest character in the main cast, like he is the ultimate life form, and he will
yeah.
fucking remind you of that fact.
Like I've only seen this newest show. I didn't realize there's another one. I haven't watched it.
Oh, the
But
second one?
oh, and I thought you. It sounded like you sound like there was multiple ones, but no, the newest trailer that came
Oh no,
out.
no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the only
Regardless.
trailer we have.
Okay, yeah. Well, regardless. Yeah, I think it's cool that we're going to be leaning into like the vengeful side of Shadow, which even in Adventure 2, because I have like replayed it even with the original translation, we really don't lean much into. He kind of
Kinda,
is like
yeah.
people. He kind of is like if people joke about it. He kind of is just like a weird genie that is like, "Hey, Eggman, I'll grant you your wish for freeing me." And then he's like, "I'm gonna kill everyone because Maria died." And then Amy's like, "Oh, but maybe Maria wanted you to save people." Oh, actually, you're right. Thank you for reminding me of her. And then he goes off and dies. So it's I do think like you said, it's gonna be so cool to see a
The
Shadow like
Nintendo shit cube.
what the fuck?
What?
Sorry, I thought I had blurb hidden. Why did that play? Sorry, I just heard Cobb redeemed the Nintendo shit cube because I thought, which is I don't have blurb on here. How did that happen?
Oh shit.
What the fuck?
They're in
Sorry.
your house.
Yeah, I just have the pissed off angry gamer in my house telling me about the Nintendo shit cube. That's so weird. I don't know how that even played. I don't even have blurb as a scene on here. How did that play? What?
I don't know.
All I have is the 3 images and a text. What the fuck? Whatever. Thanks for
Weird.
derailing me, asshole. But anyway, yeah, I think it's just really, like you said, it's really cool to have, like, leaning into, like, the more vengeful and also ultimate life form of Shadow. I think that's really cool. Like, you see,
Yeah.
like, so much destruction in it. It's just, like, absolutely, uh, amazing. I'm just, like, very excited for that, honestly.
Would you find it interesting, like, to bring up, like, how Shadow's character is handled in Adventure 2, like, and his, like, it feeling like I have not, like, played Adventure 2 in full in a while. I've been watching you and Willow go through it. Like, and rewatching some of those original cutscenes from the Team Darkstrait, but I do kind of agree that, like, I wouldn't say it's completely neglected, but, like, Shadow in his, like, desire to get revenge for Maria doesn't feel like it's that present in the Team Dark story. Like I feel like a lot of it, like from my memory of what I was watching, is more focused on Eggman's like evil plans and
Yeah,
Rouge
absolutely.
playing Eggman and Gun for suckers or whatever. Like
Yeah.
her doing her double agent shtick. While Shadow is just kind of like he wants to get his revenge, but like that's not like the sole focus, which is also it's kind of a thing that it's just a 2000 thing I'm thinking back on of just how people used to view Shadow and like complain like, oh, he's so angsty, he's so obsessed with Maria. Like as someone who's been playing through Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog the game recently, I don't feel like he's ever been as that bad as people have made him out to be. Like at most, like he's just kind of lost, and in some routes of Shadow the game, like he's a bit angstier. But like I feel like people over dramatize just how angsty and like brooding Shadow is in those original games. Like he's just kind of like distant and like a bit annoyed, but like he's not like an asshole that is like constantly wailing about his long lost Maria or something. Like I do kind of agree that like it does feel like his motivation is a bit downplayed in Adventure 2, but like I feel like people kind of overplay just how much like Shadow's like an angsty whiner in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
like
you gone?
go ahead.
There you gone?
No, I was going to say with like what we see of Shadow in the trailer so far. Like I do like I said, I love how he's portrayed like his power wise. Like we're finally like between this and Shadow Generations, we're finally getting the chance to fully embrace Shadow's like true power, like visually and like mechanically seeing it for ourselves and like why he is the ultimate life. Like that's so damn cool to me, and like seeing just like even only like for a few clips, like seeing the beat down he gives Team Sonic is so damn cool to watch. Like I'm not sure if I'll see it in theaters, but I kind of want to just for like the fucking fight scenes. Like I like the fight scenes in these first two movies, but like those shadow scenes, like I can't wait, especially since there's a PG-13. Like they're going to get a bit more brutal. I feel with this. I do
Yeah,
think like
I'm gonna watch it in theaters because
there.
I just want to see if they do another
Mm-hmm.
post credits
Oh, for sure
because
they will.
what the fuck are they even gonna show? I theorize it's probably just gonna like Metal and Amy, but like how are like not how, but like what else? You know, like Silver Blaze. Like you're not gonna get like fucking like Big the Cat or
Who
Chaos.
knows?
I
But like
guess.
someone like
Imagine having
what do you think?
chaos in this world.
Uh, I'll get to what I think about like this the post credit could be, but like in regards to Amy in particular, like it's something I've seen like apparently like is like considered like an issue people are having with this initial trailer is the possibility that Amy and Rouge are not going to be involved in the story,
Yeah.
which is a big shame. Like it does make me wonder like how is Shadow's character going to play out if we don't have like either character that helped ground him, like helped bring out the human side to him, that like help remind
The
him of
dog.
Maria. God damn it!
Aussie.
God,
Could you fucking imagine? If it was just it's the
God.
fucking no, it's the fucking the gun commander in this one gets the fucking Olive Garden
Oh
gift card
God.
to him. But yeah, I don't know.
I,
It's probably just gonna be either like Maddie or like Rachel's daughter or something. Like some like kid is just gonna end up there somehow, some way, and they're just gonna have that going on.
as I was going to say, with regards to at least Amy, like I've heard some people say, like there's some spots in the trailer where it makes it seem like there's like a space empty that could be possibly fulfilled by someone like Amy, like her potentially ending up in this. Which, as much as I would love to have Amy or Rouge included, I do feel like it could be a bit hard to squeeze them into here, especially with how like the problem with the second movie was how little screen time Tails got. Like after a point, like I
And
don't know how
also
well
just
they could handle juggling five like 5 of the Sonic cast at once, like introducing 2 of them as well.
And also, where are all these people going to fucking live, given Sonic and Tails now live with, like, Maddie and Tom, and also Knuckles, technically, even though he's been living with Wade because of the events of the Knuckles series, and if we just keep adding people in, like, we don't have, like, the Thorndike Mansion like we do in Sonic X to have an excuse to just drop all the Sonic characters in.
I mean, at least with Amy, I could believe that like she would live with Sonic and Tails. Like, but like with Rouge, like Rouge or Shadow, they probably would live on their own if like they wound up in the Paramount universe. Like they like Rouge is like a like it seemed like she'd be like kind of a loner living by herself, and Shadow, of course, would be like off like on his own. Probably like he wouldn't need to worry about like somewhere to rest. Like he doesn't. He probably doesn't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Supposing he even lives to the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, that is like the big question too. Like I feel like they're not gonna kill him. Like there's, if they do, like it's gonna the post credit scene will. If we're going to get into that, like the post credit scene, if they do end up going the Sonic Adventure 2 route of having him sacrifice himself in the end to save the day and seem like he dies, like the stinger will probably be teasing his survival as well as like potentially a new character from the game, because like in terms of what I've been thinking in regards to like what could be after tackling the Shadow story, I do feel like it's something I wonder as well. Like I don't think they would go for Metal Sonic, because like I don't know like how it would be like a good way to tease bringing in Metal as like the next character. Like I know you can like adapt Little Planet and like the Sonic CD plot, but like it's more the sense of like a big tease that like would get the audience like going like tease like a big like staple character. Like the only ever staple character we have left at this point are Amy and Silver, and I feel like Silver or Blaze would be like, if we're just going by like main major characters of the Sonic franchise, it'd have to be either one of them. Like either Silver like coming to the past to like deal with Sonic for whatever reason, like because like it's Silver, he's not gonna realize that like Sonic is the good guy for whatever reason, or it's
Like,
gonna be Blaze, like either like Sonic winding up in the Soul Dimension somehow, or Shadow winding up in the Soul Dimension, or Blaze arriving at Third Dimension somehow.
like, we're running out of characters that have arcs to them at this point. Like, a lot of the Sonic characters just exist to be other playable characters, and so
Yeah,
we're kind of at a point where, again, aside from, like, either, like, Metal or Silver, we're basically at the end of the franchise. Honestly, I don't even know if we're gonna have a teaser for a new movie after this, because, like, where the hell do you go from here, though? Like, yeah, of course, but, like, where the fuck do you go from here? It's like, how many times are you gonna have Sonic is hanging out with Tom when a new guy comes around, and also Eggman's here, and like
that shit.
like there's a point where you can't just say, yeah, corporation's gonna milk that, because you're at that point rejecting the notion of they still have to put some thought into it, even if they're not putting any care for it. Like, it's like, how I'm just thinking, like, they can't just they can't literally just redo the movies, even if they're still hitting the same beats. And so, with this conceit of it being Sonic Isekai into the human world, we're running out of things we can do with it that don't just happen to be the same thing again. And so, I just don't know where we can go from here.
I mean, yeah, like I do agree. Like we're at least running out of like the major mainstay characters that general audiences know and give a shit about. Like it is kind of like I do think there's still room that they can go for, but I think like what something I like hear people theorize is that like maybe Sonic returns to his world in the end. Like we could be like, instead of like having it in the human world, they could be moving on from like a Green Hill into Sonic's home worlds, like going for that angle instead, like as like a way to wrap up, like move on from like continue the franchise, because like you say that like there's got to be like a logical way. Like I still think there's still some wiggle room that so they're not just recycling like something. Another Sonic character comes to Green Hill and Sonic has to deal with them. Like I'm sure like there's ways that they can like branch off from this, especially since like this is probably going to be like a pivotal like changing point for the franchise if this keeps. It's like I'm sure they are going to keep this going. Like it's just that like they probably aren't going to keep it in the human world possibly, or like not have
I
it
don't think that they
completely in the human
can.
world.
They just can't, because if they keep doing it, then we're just gonna have the same story 4 times in a row. Because like we already basically had the same plot like 3 times in a row with these 2 movies and miniseries.
It's also the thing of like, given Gunn are like a recurring presence throughout the movies and are going to be a major plot point in this, like I do think there's going to be a point of them also like this concluding like the Gunn arc for like the Sonic movie franchise. Like this is going to be like the like Sonic in the game learned about like Shadow's past, like what Gunn ended up doing to Maria, like why Gerald. Because we also have not gone over the fact that like Gerald Robotnik in this continuity is alive.
Yeah, there's just so much. It's like I was already thinking about like, how are we gonna do Shadow if we don't have Chaos and thus Perfect Chaos and all that, and then they decide, hey, let's just also say that Gerald is alive now, and I'm just incredibly confused, incredibly scared, but also very interested to see how the hell they handle that. Like, are we gonna even keep Maria dead at this point? Like, probably, but it could be like a fake out, and maybe she's secretly alive.
I don't think they're going to like have her like be revealed to be alive, especially since it's a PG-13. Like I'm certain that that she is going to be dead, and that's probably going to be Gerald's like part of Gerald's driving motivation to get revenge on Gunn. Like I'm sure. I'm wondering more in the sense of like, what's the climax going to be if, like you said, we don't have that like connection to Perfect Chaos to explain why the Bio Lizard exists. Like, is it going to be the Bio Lizard, or are they going to continue branching off into its own thing with this? Like, it's all
I
the
hope
thing
we
of
get
like,
the Bio Lizard.
I'm fine if we don't. Like,
I hope. Yeah, I'm fine if we don't, but I hope we do.
It'd be neat if we do. Like, I'd be curious to see how they go about like introducing that without chaos existing in this universe. Seemingly, I think there at least is like a bit like in the trailer where we see like Shao in Japan. Like, I don't know, maybe we get chaos in this movie. It's Gerald reviving chaos or something.
It's just Gerald Robotnik doing a Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's just like a whole Springtrap situation for the final boss.
Good lord. Yeah, what that is the thing I do kind of wonder is like, given that Sonic Generations, a big part of it is bringing back the fact that Black Arms existed. Like that is a part of Shadow's backstory. We can't ignore it anymore. Like Shadow's an alien.
It's just like, a fucking demon from the rock opera and those black arms. Oh no!
Like what? That's what I was thinking. Like thinking of like, what if that's the credit stinger? Is like Black Doom appearing, like to bring Shadow back.
Okay, that'd be a good way. If we just got Shadow, if Sonic Movie 4 is just a Shadow movie.
I really do feel like, surely, with Keanu Reeves as Shadow, and Shadow, like, getting this massive push by Sega this year with, like, the Shadow game, the Year of Shadow and all of that, like, surely we are getting a Shadow-focused thing in the future for the movies. Like, whether it's a Never miniseries or that's the 4th movie, like, surely I feel like they have to be bringing in Black Arms, like, in some way. Like, maybe they might even, like, reveal it's a thing in this movie, like, before the post-credits thing. But I would love if, like, it ends off with, like, fucking Shadow and, like, a stasis tube and make it seem like, oh, did Eggman get him? And then it turned out, like, no, it's Black Doom. And he's, like, coming to, like, he's gonna be the main arc villain. Like, when Elf Gunn's dealt with, like, Sonic and, like, friends or, like, going back to their world or like connecting with their world again or whatever. Like they now have to contend with the Black Arms. Ugh. I couldn't believe that. Like, what did you say?
Merge the 2 planets.
I mean, like, we don't know where Gerald is, and we don't know what Shadow's origin in this is. So maybe there will be like some like Roads Collide shit going on. Climax.
It's just so weird that they have the entire gun thing from 50 years ago, given Sonic has only been on Earth for 10, 11.
Yeah, don't forget, Cammy, the Knuckles miniseries that near the end when they said like this isn't the first time they've had like an alien interrupt a bowling tournament.
Oh my
What
god.
if? What
Don't
if
say.
that's the payoff?
Shut up! Shut the fuck up.
If that actually,
Let's go back to the Echidna tribe being into Vor. I don't want to think about Shadow and Black Doom invading a bowling tournament.
or what? Alternatively, what if it was Silver?
What with
Silver wound
Silver?
up by accident, like wind up in like. I would love if like we get a Silver focused movie and like at one point while they're time traveling, like he accidentally winds up in the 1970 bowling tournament, like by accident. Like, oops.
Wait, yeah, you're right. The 70s were 50 years ago. I thought they were 30 still. I'm stuck in the 2000s. Oh no, I couldn't be Shadow. Shut
Oh
up!
my! Shadow interrupt to the bowling. That's how Gerald found him. If that is the payoff for that stupid bit, I'm going to say the Knuckles miniseries was worth it just for that fucking bit. Like, getting paid off in the movie. That's how Shadow was found by Gerald.
I would fucking scream. I would just walk out. I would just walk out, honestly.
I'd fucking lose my mind.
It would be
I'd,
so funny. That's not something they're. I almost forgot to
you
say
never
this.
know.
Do you think they're gonna have Sonic mention the Keanu bit, given he was talking about Keanu in the first movie?
They probably will. They probably will make like a passing reference to it.
They had
I'm
to.
sure they
They
will.
will. Do you think Sonic's gonna hit the Huactua at some point? Have him spit on Shadow?
I don't know if they will include that in this movie. I don't think they'll be able to get that in time.
They added the floss to the first movie when
Well,
that
yeah,
was relevant.
the plot was around for a while before like they had to redo the movie
Do you
though.
think Sonic's gonna get emerged from a toilet and he's gonna say, "Hey, I'm Skibbity Sonic"?
Shut up. Shut up.
And then Tom just flushes him down. And then he finds the turtles, who are, I guess, corpses because Sonic pipe bombed them at the beginning of the second movie.
Yes, Connecticut, home of the turtles.
Is it Connecticut? I thought it was
Oh,
the.
it was Montana, I think.
Yeah, it was
Or,
Montana. Is it Montana or
Montana.
Nevada?
I think it was. I think they said it was that. I forget where like Sonic was like in that like opening sequence, where like he was like specifically. I think it was Seattle. I forget where the title card said he was.
Yeah. What's some other brain rot I can use to torment you?
Oh god damn it!
Um, I don't know. Skibbity Fortnite, Skibbity Fortnite. I don't think I have much else to say. I'm excited for the Shadow appearance. I love how he's depicted so far. I'm just very confused as to how they're gonna handle the lore, especially since they brought back uh fucking Gerald.
Yeah, like I'm curious about it as well. Like that's part of what get me interested in seeing the movie is just like excuse me, after seeing how much they've changed up the lore, like regarding the Master Emeralds and such with like the past movies. I'm really excited to see like what do they have in mind regarding like Shadow's past. The concern I have more is just like what is going to be like the emotional core to Shadow. Like what's going to be like his tether that brings him back down and reminds him of what Maria genuinely wanted, not like what his grief-stricken mind fought like
Dance
with
off.
her. Shut up! Let me finish. Like I really just want to know like are they actually gonna like try to squeeze in Amy in this? Like if
No.
I we don't know like there is like there's got to be something that they do. Like it could just be Maddie that like is what gets him to reminds him of what Maria wanted. Maybe like part of me kind of hopes it might be Tails, so the kid can have something to do in these movies
Yeah.
beyond just being a plot device.
I just remember I watched Bickery Box talk about the trailer, and he said about one scene where people thought it was Amy, but it's probably just Knuckles with the lighting making it look pink.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that. I didn't watch that then. Like his like breakdown of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Yeah, like I said, I'm more concerned about like how they're going to handle like Shadow's like turning point, as well as like how they're going to handle Gun as a group. Like given like they haven't shown like the Gun is shady and they're not too trusting of them. So like I feel like this is going to like I said, this is going to be like the end of the Gun arc, and this is going to be the point when like Sonic's game learned about like what they did in the past and like start to actively fight against them.
Yeah, I just hope we end the gun arc just because I'm tired of the whole, oh, we're there aliens, oh, extraterrestrials from another planet. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
tired
definitely
of
get
that.
that. Yeah, I'm definitely am gonna be glad like we can move. I'm hoping that this is like what they're going for, like just wrapping up Gun and moving on to the next force for the franchise, like whatever that might be. Iblis, Black Arms, Eggman,
Time
or
Eater.
Stone. Time Eater would be weird. Like you don't have that much to go off of
I
to
know.
like in the past.
I I hope they don't ever make Stone turn evil himself and betray Eggman. Like,
I
we'd
don't think
have,
he
like,
would
with
ever have him
Snively.
betray him. I don't think he would ever have Stone betray him. It's more just a matter of like having, since like the thing with like the second movie was like supposedly that was going to be Carrie retiring the role, and like if he was like serious about that, that they weren't going to bring him back or recast him in the third movie, which I'd be very curious to see what the hell their plans would have been to do a Eggman-less, a potentially Robotnik entirely-less like a movie free with Shadow,
Yeah,
like.
I just hope they
The
don't have
main
Stone take over for Eggman,
I
because
don't think they
I
ever
think
would.
that would,
Like,
I just think that would weaken his character.
oh, for sure. Like, I cannot imagine this. Like, Stone is too in love with Eggman. I feel like to ever pull like a betrayal on him. Like, I was thinking more to the sense of like if Carrie is actually going to retire, like have Stone take the
Well, that's what I
mantle as
mean,
like the main
too. That's what I
villain.
mean, too. Like, I don't want that either.
Fair. Like, I just don't know if like how long they can keep Carrie around as Eggman because like
Especially given he
it's
might be,
hard.
like, an anti-vaxxer or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, I don't remember like the full thing with like the anti-vax stuff with Carrie, but yeah, like I still feel like just regardless, they can't keep Carrie around forever. Like he is getting older, like and he will actually need to retire at some point. So
Yeah.
they can't keep Eggman as the main villain forever. Like maybe they will have him be killed off in this movie alongside Gerald or something. Like then move on to whoever the hell will be the next main villain of the franchise. Like,
Yeah, like, I... No, it's completely unrelated. It's just, like, it was reminding me, like, some points when he's, like, speaking, like, quieter. It just reminded me of when Jim Carrey was on a fucking The Weeknd album doing a spoken word for it.
of course he was too.
It was a really good part too. It's just like kind
Fair.
of weird that it's Jim Carrey of all people doing a like a heartfelt narration about coming to terms with the end of your life and whatever comes in the afterlife. And
Just
it's
because
like, oh, it's Jim Carrey doing this. Like, what?
honestly, I can kind of believe that. Like, I know he's mainly known for his comedic stuff, but like, I also know like he was inspired by like that one comedian who was very off the wall and like very experimental with his style. It takes after him in that way. Like he is a very like kind of artsy guy. Carrying himself as kind of an artsy guy himself. Like he had tried like more serious stuff. Like get the movie like about like the Scent Mind or like the number 23, like more artsy serious stuff like that. So that kind of tracks me that he would do something like the that weekend spoken words monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited and curious to see what the hell they have in mind for movie free and beyond. Like I'm sure that they can come up with something. I just want to know what they have in mind.
Hmm. But that's gonna do it for this impromptu podcast nightmare. Tune in next time where we talk about echidnas or something. I don't fucking remember what the last aired episode
Multiverse,
was.
the
Um,
multiverse coming soon. Way
yeah,
of in terms of like airing stuff, I guess it would be. I guess we'd going on the worldwide adventure
yeah,
of
because we would have
Sonic
been
and
right
Tails.
before. Yeah, we would have been right before the fucking episode 10. Oh
Yeah,
god. Okay. Have stay pendering penderhead soon. That's not funny.
Got a juice.
Biatch. Okay. Well, we're still live on Discord, so thank you for all who are watching, and good fucking riddance.
You'll be at the time of your life.
Yeah. You know, I don't. I hope you had the time of your life.